Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy, is it Thursday? It is Thursday. Welcome to TheoryCraft episode 37. A little bit of a wacky Thursday. It's 2 p.m. A little bit of a later episode, an hour later. We just casted, which is a first. We got a sub from Wadka too, which is also a first-time Prime, so I appreciate that. Plenty of firsts today, but there's also a last. And today will be the last day that Thursdays will be for TheoryCraft. We'll be switching the day. Which I haven't figured out what day it's on. Probably eventually Mondays, because ESL Cup is out of here soon. So maybe we'll fill in what's missing where the ESL Cup used to be with this show. On Mondays. But that's remains to be seen. We'll figure that out. In the future. The files are in the computer. Yeah, so this will be the last week. It's on Thursday, and we'll just be doing Silver Cup and Creep Check on Thursdays now. Because of course with ESL going away, we're going to try to cover all the 4 players tournaments, bronze, silver, gold every week. So that can fill us up quite a bit content wise. So yeah, for those of you that watch on YouTube, it'll just be uploaded on Tuesdays instead of Fridays now. And yeah. Yeah. Will there be a TheoryCraft next week? Maybe in real time. There probably will not be a TheoryCraft next week. There probably will not be one. But that remains to be seen as well. As always, you can follow us on Twitter and check all that out. Okay. I'm gonna have a sip of water. It's been a rushed morning. It's been a real rushed morning. I'll tell you that much. It's been a real rushed morning. Gotta get my thoughts straight here. So last week was a community replay review. Bro Rush morning, exactly. I appreciate everyone that submitted replays, and just because last week's episode is done doesn't mean you can't submit replays for next month, for December, for soon to be the 1-year anniversary of TheoryCraft. I believe that's actually when it would be the 1-year anniversary. I'm going backwards in time here. It would be January 7th is the 1-year anniversary. So we're coming up on it. A month and a bit. January 7th was the 1 year. Was the first episode. Was Socks planning in Human versus Orc or whatever the hell it was. But yeah, you can always submit your replays for next month for December's community replay review. Carson at backtowarcraft.com, or you can join our Discord. Discord.backtowarcraft.com, and post them in the TheoryCraft channel. I think I already have a couple of replays for next month, so don't be afraid of anything. Just submit the replays. Doesn't afraid of anything. That's what it is. Just doesn't afraid of nothing, guys. And submit the replays. And next week, if there is an episode next week, if not, it'll be the week after. Probably on a Monday by then. It will be Night Elf Day, which we're probably going to do. We're probably going to do that Foggy vs. Moon 2 best of 5s that they played. 2 best of 5s. Because there's plenty of games. Need Understanding Happy's interview. He has pretty good interviews. The end of DreamHack Winter was quite the banger interview from Happy. I think he was in a good mood that day, because he was answering all the questions about strategy. That was lit. That was super lit. Yeah, so that'll be next episode 38. This is episode 37, right? Let me see. Sometimes I forget what number we're on. TheoryCraft episode 37. Doesn't exist. Good. Episode 36. Does exist. Good. So we are on episode 37. Incredible. Real question is now, will this TheoryCraft episode help human players to understand how to fight against undead players? Yes, to an extent, actually, because Hawk makes some mistakes in these replays. Let's talk about that. I just had oatmeal. Ribs. I was having ribs for lunch. If you know, you know. Today's episode is called, it's a long episode, long title, Understanding Happy's Late Games versus Human. Now, the reason why it might be helpful for some human players is because we're going to be watching 3 replays of Happy versus Hawk, because those were the best replays, and they play each other a lot. They play each other like 6 times a week. So, it's having ribs for lunch. But Ferras, who asked? What do you mean? I can say whatever I want. That's who asks. Yeah, they play each other a lot, Happy and Hawk. So that's where all the replays. There were some Sock replays, weren't really the best because Sock does some weird stuff against Undead currently. There were some Blade replays, but nothing really panned out there. And of course, there's still no replays from DreamHack Asia, so I was going to do the 120 games from DreamHack Asia, but those just haven't been released yet, so I just don't have those replays. They probably won't ever be released. So we'll never get to analyze 120 again on this show. It's only going to be a Happy show from now on. That's it. That's it. So it'll be Happy versus Human. And it's going to be a style that most Undead players find difficult. And it is difficult. It is the most difficult way to play against Human. Playing what I like to say TED Fiends, or Fast DK Slow Fiends, which would be the Altar, Zig, Crypt Shop Graveyard, Tech, Zig, 1 Fiend sort of build order with 3 ghouls on lumber. That's what I consider to be TED Fiends. Some people call it Happy Fiends. No, it's TED Fiends. If you're going to name it after a player, you're going to name it after TED. Not going to name it after Happy. Although Happy Fiends was considered the 4 ghoul tech thing. Interesting. Yeah, but yeah, so we're going to be talking about TED Fiends 1 base against a Human Fast expansion, which Undeads really struggle with. They really do, for good reason. It's a very mechanical strategy. Happy has the best mechanics probably of all time, so that, of course, helps him. But he only plays this style against Human. That's all he does. He doesn't do Lich first, doesn't do Crippler, doesn't do Dreadlord. And that, I don't want to say a crutch. I wouldn't want to say crutch, but that is something that almost every other Undead in the world has really relied on to be able to beat humans. Is playing Cryptlord, is playing Lich first. Maybe the only exception would be 120. But even 120 plays a whole lot of Cryptlord as well, and Lich as well. So Happy is really the only one that exclusively plays this style against Human. And again, I say, for good reason. It's extremely difficult. I'm not under any illusion that it's easy to do what Happy's going to do today. Right? But, with that being said, there's certainly some details that I think a lot of Undead players may be missing when it comes to playing this style against Human Fast Expansion. I think there are some things that Happy does exceptionally well, other than just micro his units very well. There are many things he does. Strategically, his build order is different, the order of which he gets things, where he is on the map at certain times, how he uses his mana, how he creeps. Right? So there's many things Happy does that isn't just, oh, he just microed better. He has helped the Undeads to struggle so much in this matchup. God damn it, Todd. God damn it. Seeing if I did a human version of this, then the human players would be, but there's no chance. Why are you even trying to help us? I just can't win. Just can't talk about this matchup. So yeah. So there's many things he does well other than just micro really well. You know it's true, Todd. You know it's true. You know it's true. Unbelievable. Yeah, so we're gonna be not talking necessarily about of course it's true. Yeah, there we go. We're not necessarily going to be talking about a super aggressive style, because a lot of the replays you see of Undeads winning against Human with this style, maybe Undeads other than Happy, but also including Happy, the Undead walks across the map with their DK, with their Rod of Necromancy and their little coils and their first Fiend, and they kill like 15 peasants, and then the Human GGs and leaves. Of course, we're not going to be talking about those sort of games. What the sort of games that I want to talk about today are the games which we've all played as Undead players. Very, very common, especially when we're not Happy. We walk across the map with our little death coils, our Rod of Necromancy, our first Fiend, and we kill 1, 2 peasants, use all of our mana, use our whole Rod of Necromancy, have 200 HP on our Death Knight, and have to go home. Now, Undead players in the chat, how many of you have played this sort of game? You think, I'm going to kill so many peasants today. I'm going to kill so many peasants. They get claws of attack on their Archmage. They micro it perfectly. They have an easy expansion. And you have to just go back home. Oh, at least I got one peasant. Right? How many undead, you know? That happens to a lot of undeads, right? So what I want to talk about today, at least for the first 2 replays, what's up, Dondo, is what do you do if that happens? Because a lot of undead players, if they don't manage to kill 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 peasants off the harass, they're lost. They lose. They get pushed back to their base with defend footmen. They lose acolytes. They're forced into building a spirit tower. They lose their death knight. Their slaughterhouse gets canceled. They just get destroyed by defend footmen and level 3 archmage. Very, very common. The undeads rely on the harassment. So what I want to talk about today is if Happy's harassment goes poorly, as it does very often because the human players that he's playing are very strong, what does he do? What does he do to combat that? The fact that the human gets a very clean expansion, and then because of that, they get a very clean tech timing. Because of that, they have an early Mountain King. Because of that, they have earlier Knights. What does he do? You just hope for Lich and hope he does something dumb. True. So that's what I want to talk about mostly today. The third replay, we're gonna see what Happy does if he manages to get some extra peasant kills. So the third replay is going to be when Happy gets 4 or 5 peasant kills and manages to delay the expansion. What his actual follow-up is, so we sort of have a flow chart of both sides. Do I kill very few peasants? Do I kill a lot of peasants? Okay, what path do I go down given that circumstance, right? So we'll do both sides of it today, but we're going to mostly be focusing on what if my harass goes terribly? Because that's the game that we're most often going to be playing if we're playing competent human players. Assuming we're not on a concealed hill on an Amazonia, those are maps that can very often be a disaster for a human to expand on. But if we're playing maps Autumn Leaves, Northern Isles, Echo Isles, Tidehunters, right? These sort of maps, the human is a lot of the time with the very nice bouncer footman and the tower to block the other side, just nice expo positioning and good archmage control. They're very often not going to lose that many peasants if they're competent human players, right? As Hawk, who we're going to watch today, is. As all the human players scramble to say, what do you mean? I always lose 14 peasants. Well, there you go. Now you know what to improve on. Now you know what to improve on in your games, if that's true. Because Hawk is playing against the best player with the best micro of all time in the entire history of this game, and he's only going to lose 2 peasants this game. What's up, Sonic? You talked me into it. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Oh, there's also a sub I missed. Sorry about that. I missed a sub. R. Marty 920 with the tier 1. Appreciate you. Thank you. Can't wait for the follow-up for this. How to beat Happy's Undead late game. I will say, Hawk is going to get in a fantastic position these first 2 games. And I don't want to say he's going to throw, but he's going to do some questionable things. So we can definitely talk a little bit about what Hawk maybe could have done better as a follow-up to these early games. Right? Because, yeah, because I think he could have won both these games. Thank you, Donda. Thank you. Yeah, I think he definitely could have won these games if he had done... Well, I think both these games, he kind of throws with tanks. He kind of throws with tanks. Now, we're not going to focus a lot on the human side of things today. There's going to be mistakes that Hawk's making because Happy's a better player than Hawk, and that's just a fact. But Hawk is still very good. But there's definitely places Hawk could improve in these replays, and I'll try not to shy away from that. I think the first is that he gets ahead. He gets a very clean expansion, but he only loses a couple of peasants. His tech is very early. He gets level 3 Archmage and manages to push Happy back away from his expo. And then he feels the need to go into tanks, which Happy defends expertly. And he just sort of wastes the advantage that he once had. So then I asked the question, would it be better, instead of going tanks and just giving up your advantage, would it be better just to get that earlier Knight Mortar Team, Knight Gyro army, maybe with some casters behind it? Maybe. So that's sort of where I think Hawk could possibly improve, is he's a little bit too aggressive when he gets ahead. Maybe he feels the need, he needs to lame Happy out. He needs to keep pressing into Happy's base. He needs to keep Zeppelin dropping tanks, stuff like that. And all Happy does is just defend perfectly, and then he's super ahead because he just defends perfectly. So I think Hawk gets a little overeager when he gets an advantage against Happy at times. Whereas if he just played a bit more patiently, sat back, crept, got his army up, his actual fighting army up quicker, maybe he could be in a better spot in these games, but that's not what we're focusing on today. We're going to be focusing on what Happy does so well. So are there any questions? Are there any questions? Are there any questions before we jump in? We're on War 3 Booster. I debated using the new overlay, the new Back to Warcraft overlay for this, but I didn't. But I did. How are you today, Carson? Important question. I'm tired. I'm tired. And I gotta go play a gig after this. Directly after this, in fact. I'm gonna turn off the stream. And I'm gonna go play a show. But that's all right. I think I got enough energy to get through this show. I got enough energy to get through this show. I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it. Do I have enough energy to get through the gig tonight? No, but screw the band. I almost said a no-no word, but we're not on my stream right now. No. I'm not saying any bad words here. Place the singer Power Trip. I don't know that. I feel like people always have to do something extraordinary to be happy, perhaps. I, for one, am very excited to understand Happy's late game versus human. All right. And maybe we'll now understand. You know what inspired this episode, actually? It was watching Hitman vs. You the other day, Todd. His Undead on Tidehunters, which is the first map we're going to watch. Because I felt like despite you having an expansion up for the whole game, I think he really had a shot at the end, but he just kind of got stomped. And I was like, wait, what? This feels like it should have been closer. But you just sort of owned him. So it got me thinking, like, what the hell? Like, what would Happy have done in this situation? And there's definitely a lot of stuff that Happy would have done differently. To no one's surprise, I suppose. But that was kind of what inspired this episode. And also the fact there's no replays at all. Recasting the last series of Hawk vs. Happy? No, but it was a 3-0 and 2 games were 4 minutes long, if I remember correct, right? Which, I mean, come on. I mean, I didn't watch the games, but come on, they're both 4 minutes long. They're both 4 minutes long. I mean... And that would be a great game to look at, actually? Or is that one of the games where you GG'd out in 4 minutes? Oh, sorry about that timeout. You said the word ho, which isn't allowed, apparently. Hawk was in a good spot, I thought. We are watching one game on Northern Isles. Our second replay is going to be on Northern Isles. It might actually be that game. Let me see if it is. I believe the replay is like 22 minutes long that we're watching. The first one's going to be on Tidehunters from some ESL Cup. One that Remo was casting, apparently. Yeah, 23 minutes. That might actually be replay number 2. Yeah, that might be the second replay we're going to watch. I think it actually is. I'm going to double check. Yep, that's the replay. That's the replay. That's the second replay for today. Beautiful. Incredible. But there were a couple of reasons why I wanted to show this replay first, which is Tidehunters, maybe from a couple of weeks ago. But when it comes to finding undead replays, we have to go back in time a little bit. But I do believe this is a pretty up-to-date style from Happy for replay 1. Yes. Okay. So, without further ado, let's check it out. Here's replay number 1, Happy versus Hawk, as all the games will be today. Tidehunters is our starting map. A map worth noting that is very good, I think, for human in a lot of situations because you have 2 claw drops right off the hop. There's quite an easy level 3 creeping on this map. Not as easy as maybe like a concealed hill, right? You know. But you can get level 3 if you get the other green camp and all that, and you pull the green camp onto the high ground. And also the expansion, notably, is very easy to creep. So this is probably a fairly good map for human against undead, if they're playing Death Knight, not Crypt Lord, right? So here's Tidehunters, Happy against Hawk. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There we go. And here we go. So here's Happy. Not spamming a lot of rally points. Look at him. And here's Hawk. Spamming a lot of rally points. So, I'll first explain what I mean by Ted Fiends, because I might be saying Ted Fiends a lot today, and you might be, what the hell is that? Well, Ted Fiends, I just mean, is this build order. This build order that Happy's doing right here is called Ted Fiends or Fast DK. So it's going to be Altar, Ziggurat, and Acolyte. When this Acolyte comes out, you build the Crypt. He's going to build another Acolyte now. When this Acolyte comes out, he's going to build his Shop. And then this Acolyte will be used to either scout or creep sometimes. In this case, it will be used to scout.
Summoning is complete.
And then the shop will be built. This Acolyte can be used to scout. The 6th Acolyte. Now Happy can build a graveyard once he has 215 gold. This Acolyte can also be used to kill the critter. All very basic stuff if you're
Summoning is complete.
You know, not a new player, at least, let's say. Kills the crab so he can summon skeletons later to creep that camp. And now the Acolyte will go across to scout. Now, what is this Acolyte scouting for in most cases? Just to confirm that it's an Archmage, just to confirm it will be an expansion, not one-base play. And in the case of Tidehunters, it's actually nice to confirm whether or not the human's going to expand here or going to expand here. Because there's actually 2 options for the human, but most commonly it's going to be here. Then, of course, Graveyard comes up, and then we're going to build 2 ghouls out of this crypt, so we have 3 on lumber, and then we're going to tech.
Our forces are under attack.
No, ideally Happy would want to keep this Acolyte alive until he's tier 2. We can talk about that more later, why you'd want to lose it around tier 2. Most of you probably know, though. Ideally, you'd want to keep it alive just to know, again, where is Hawk going? Is he expanding? Happy knows that Hawk is a player that is going to expand because he just knows Hawk very well. They play each other all the time. He probably also knows that Hawk prefers to expand here over expanding here. But if he was playing a player that he was not familiar with, Happy, he would have probably put a little bit more effort in trying to save this Acolyte, as should you. Because we don't know every player we're up against. Even if I play Hawk on ladder myself as undead, I don't know. Hawk could do something totally different because he doesn't know who I am. Maybe he's going to troll me. Maybe he's going to do something weird. We never know what our opponent's going to do unless we're in the position of being Happy against Hawk. Then you pretty much know what your opponent's going to do because Hawk has to do what he believes to be the best strategy. So what I'm pretty much saying in short is keep your Acolyte alive. Get the scout. See where they're expanding. See if they're playing one base. You never know. You never know. Okay. Now, Happy does this pretty much on every map. He uses one of his 3 ghouls. On some maps, he uses 2. Shallow Grave, for instance, he uses 2 ghouls to creep initially. But he pulls 1 ghoul to creep his first camp. And then he pretty much tanks on this ghoul until it's around, say, 100 health, and then he just sends it back onto the Blight. Happy does this on almost all maps. In fact, I think he does do it on all maps. He hasn't always, though. This is more of a recent development. Maybe not extremely recently, but... And he even uses 2 coils. And note, about 50 health, sends it back. Grabs the item. Acolyte did go down, but Happy, again, is just assuming. Hawk is going to expand here. And now you, the undead player, you have 2 options. You have 2 options. Now... Of course, the Graveyard's going to finish. He can build a Fiend, and he can also tech. We'll keep an eye if Happy techs or goes for that first Fiend. I believe he'll go for the Fiend first. You have 2 options here. You can, A, go across the map and harass, or B, you can creep level 2. Now, Happy almost always prefers to creep level 2, and I think this is the better choice, given what Happy is going to focus on in the late game. What Happy focuses on in this game in particular, and we'll talk about why he gets to this point, is hero items, hero levels. And, of course, you want level 2 because that checks off the hero level side of the box. You have an early level 2, keeping up an experience with the Archmage. And 2, you check off the item part of the checklist because you're getting items later for your Lich. So he's going to go up here and he's actually going to creep for the item here and also get level 2 at the same time, allowing Hawk to get this whole expansion crept. But even if Happy were to creep this and then run straight across the map, the creep camp would already be done anyway. So short of Happy's DK coming out of the altar and going straight for peasants, he wouldn't be able to stop. He wouldn't be able to get any last hits here, and then he would just be a full level behind, sometimes even 2 levels behind, and he'd probably end up with about 50 experience on his Death Knight. So Happy does what I believe to be the best thing here. He's going to creep to level 2, get 2 items, and then he'll go across and harass. And in fact, he's even going to get more than 2 items here.
Summoning is
so Tech and then Fiend, and then after the Fiend, he'll get his next Ziggurat. Maybe even before. Let's see. No, he gets the Fiend, and then he'll get his second Ziggurat. And note, he's just going for the item right away. Gets it. Gets Claws, and these are nice Lich items in the future. And Happy's not going to stop here. Note the timing. It'll soon be nighttime. Happy does this very often on many maps. For instance, so right now what Happy's going to do is he's going to wait for it to be nighttime. And then he's going to go to the marketplace and buy items. He's going to buy items for his Lich. He does this on almost every map. On Concealed Hill, he waits for nighttime and then he buys the circlet from his opponent's shop. On Echo Isles, marketplace. On Northern Isles, marketplace. On Amazonia, not possible. On what other maps are there? Those are mostly the maps that he can do it on. Right? Oh, and Last Refuge. Probably not, but he would be creeping the priest anyway. He might creep both priests. Last Refuge, he wouldn't get a lot of good items, but ideally he would get illusions from one of the 2 priests. But yeah, pretty much 5 maps, you can stack up your Lich, even by the 4-minute mark. And here we are, almost at the 4-minute mark. He's going to wait for nighttime. He's going to buy some more items, and then he's going to go harass. Boom, another Gloves of Haste. Lich already terrifying. First Fiend out, second Zig on the way. And then once the Zig's done, another Fiend, and then another Fiend will come. Gets a coil last hit on one of the Huntsmen there. Note, Happy doesn't have any mana for coils right now. He's also only has 1 more charge of Rotted Necromancy. Happy's not expecting to get a lot of peasant kills because he respects the fact that Hawk is a really good player and that he's probably going to defend his peasants very well. So what does Happy do instead? He focuses on 1, stealing creeps away from the Archmage, but 2, investing a lot into items instead of a second rod and backpack. And, you know, investing his mana into creeping faster to get his own hero levels up, not expecting to get a lot of damage done because he trusts, 1, that his late game is going to be strong enough, and 2, that Hawk is going to defend his peasants very well. So here we go. Let's see how good the harass goes. Many players at this stage would be thinking, I need to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 peasant kills or I lose the game. Many would be thinking this. But in Happy's case, it's not actually true. There's no need for Happy to panic here. Just get what he can get. And we'll talk about why it's important for him to at least be aggressive a little bit here in a minute. He's going to get 1. Almost could get surrounded there. He's got 1 more charge of Rod, and his Fiend's coming in. When the Zig finishes, we'll keep an eye on the second Fiend being produced. Well, the second Gloves isn't necessarily for the Death Knight, it's for the Lich later on. Alright, so 2 peasants go down, 1 was even denied. And now what? We've all been in this situation, right? He's got, okay, he's pretty much has no mana, but he's got 1 more coil. Might have to use it on the Fiend. He's got no more charges of Rod of Necromancy. His second Fiend's on the way. Now what does he do? What should Happy do right now? What should Happy do? And this is very important. This is very important. What should Happy do? What's the best move? We've all been in this situation. Time after time after time after time after time. What is the best play? There's a couple of options. The first option would be he can go home, get another Rod of Necromancy, beat up with the second Fiend, maybe creep this, and then maybe finish up the expansion, get level 3, and have level 3 Death Knight. The other option would be to continue pressuring. And then I don't know if there's necessarily a third option. There's pretty much either go home and start creeping or continue pressuring. Fake departure and come back. That's good. That is the best play. Now, why is that the best play? Is it the best play because he's going to get a lot more damage done? You like to creep? Now, creeping is good. Of course, Happy would love to get Death Knight level 3, ideally before his tier 2 finishes. And we can talk about that more later. But for now, the reason why it's the best play for Happy to actually back away for a bit and then come in and continue to pressure is because it forces Hawk to defend. If Hawk does not defend his peasants right now, he's going to lose all of them. Even if there's no Rod of Necromancy, the Fiend and the Single Coil and the second Fiend that's soon to come in, this is going to be enough to clean up all these peasants. And Hawk, he could run across the map and pressure Happy, but by the time Happy has killed all his peasants, he could just town portal back home, and Happy's in a fine position. Delaying the tech a ton, killing a lot of peasants, he's probably in such a good position, he doesn't even care about the town portal, he could just go tier 3 and Pit Lord push. Right, so Happy's going to stay aggressive, not because he's expecting to get a lot more damage done, but because he wants to keep Hawk here to respect that. Why does he want to keep Hawk here? Well, because if Happy backs away now fully to his base, grabs another rod and starts creeping, what Hawk does is he creeps this camp, gets level 3. He might need to creep this or something, or easily just creep this. Yeah, there we go. He would just creep this, get level 3. And then Hawk gets his expansion up, he gets teching, he keeps building footmen, he starts pressuring Happy, and now Happy's on level 2 without a Lich, and he has no real way of defending himself at his base. He's just going to be pressured all the way back into his base, and this is a position that we all get ourselves into. The human has level 3, we have no mana, no health. He's in our base, we're trying to creep up to DK 3, but we can't. We can't, and we can't also defend ourselves. When are we actually able to defend ourselves? Of course, when the Lich comes out. So what Happy's going to try and do now is he's going to try to force Hawk to stay defensive, defending his expansion, as long as he can, to buy just enough time for his Lich to be out at tier 2, which is about another minute and 40 seconds away currently, before the tier 2's done and the Lich comes out. And then once the Lich comes out with Nova, then Happy's in a position where he's not too afraid of Hawk running in with level 3 Archmage and Footman. Then he can start to clean up the Footman. Then he can start to actually creep level 3 Death Knight. So that's why he's not just going to run all the way back home right now. But he will run slightly back home. Goes around. Again, he's not expecting to get a lot done. If he had another Rod or Necromancy, which sometimes players will backpack another Rod. But in this case, like, what is he going to get done here? Not maybe he kills a Footman, sure. But Hawk knows if I don't wait here, he's going to come in, he's going to cancel my Arcane Tower, he's going to kill all these peasants, especially when the second Fiend is here. And his Death Knight does tons of damage. He can kill peasants easily with this Death Knight. And now, he forced Hawk back for a second. He's going back to creep a camp, but he's creeping a camp. He's not going back and creeping here. He's not going back and creeping here. He's creeping a camp in the middle. So if Hawk comes through, Happy can buy time with the Fiends and the Death Knight. He can buy time because he's going to guarantee see Hawk if he runs through the harass. There's no way that Hawk, maybe he would. This would be a pretty heads-up play, though. Maybe Hawk goes like this and goes all the way around. Sure, but that takes a lot of time. Again, already indirectly buying more time for the Lich. 55 seconds away right now because the tier 2 is about to be done. So Happy and creeping this is pretty much going to scout Hawk, or Hawk is going to give him enough time to get the Lich out. So that where he's creeping is important as well. This is live. Hello, Real. See, you can see the Archmage. And again, he pulls the Archmage away from his base. He pulls it away from his base 50 seconds before the Lich is out. 50 seconds he's got to hold on. Now, ideally, Happy would have bought even more time, right? Ideally, we'd like to buy more time if we can. If we could buy another 30 seconds, this would be great. Like, there's a lot of times where the human would be able to do a lot of damage here. Triple circlet for Hawk, by the way. Fortunately for Happy, the first mistake of Hawk happens here. He forgot a few footmen that were left here. Maybe not forgot. Maybe not forgot, actually. Let's not say that. This might not be a mistake. But in Happy re-aggressing here, earlier, when he feinted going back and re-aggressed, this scared Hawk that he was going to do it again, so Hawk left 3 footmen back to defend that sort of pressure, while aggressing with only the Archmage and the footmen, whereas Happy just actually went back home and started creeping. So now this pressure that could have been 4 footmen and the Archmage is now only 1 footman and the Archmage. So this re-aggression almost helped Happy now in defending in the future. But with that being said, he still would have liked to buy more time, Happy. He still would have liked to buy another 20, 30 seconds, then the Lich would have been totally out by the time the pressure comes. But that's what you should be focusing on in the early game. Yes, getting level 3 is very important on your Death Knight, but more importantly is not getting pushed into the back of your base once they hit level 3 Archmage. All hands on deck here. Order of things, by the way, when the tier 2 finished, Lich, of course, for obvious reasons, immediately, and third Ziggurat and Slaughterhouse immediately as well. And then, once the pressure has subsided, or, you know, once you have enough resources, just go tier 3, right? But these are your priority because you're trying to defend your base and not die to defended footmen. Gets another rod because he's going to begin creeping again soon. And the Lich is out, so we're pretty safe against defend footmen. But we're still not safe enough. We're not safe enough again where we could go and, like, creep this. Right? Because if we look at Hawk's expansion, he's got an Arcane up, he's getting another tower up, he can call Militia from the main because he's already teching. Right? So, like, we can't really threaten as much of a counterattack as we could before. So Happy coming over here and like creeping big right now wouldn't be a good choice. What he's going to creep is close by to his base. He's going to creep this. He's going to try to creep this. He's going to pull the lab and creep this. Maybe he can get away with creeping the shop, again in this central position. But Happy is going to creep, but he's also going to creep defensively, because if there was a run by into his base, he would need to respect that still. So he's killing two birds with one stone. He's defending the Archmage level 3 and the defend footman pressure, but he's also getting ahead in experience, because he's got a second hero out, and Hawk does not. Tier 3, once he has the resources. Note, 3 Fiends only, Tier 3, and this Ziggurat will allow him to get a statue once the Slaughterhouse is done. Items passed over to the Lich right away. And what's Happy going to creep? He's probably going to creep defensively, right? Sees the Water Elemental. And again, central positioning. He's going to pull the shop. Central positioning. And he sees where Hawk is running to. Uses a Nova to creep it. He's just getting further ahead in experience, and he's right in a central position to defend against the footman. Very close to level 3. If he's able to get one more footman solo on the Death Knight, he would get level 3. If he pulled the Lich back here, that'd actually be sick, because then you just get level 3, but he's not able to. Splits the XP. But this Water Elemental will be level 3.
Our forces are under attack.
Fourth Fiend out. Second statue will soon be on the way. And Happy, now with this level 3 Death Knight, actually denied, is in a totally fine position. Hawk can no longer fight this army. Another Ziggurat on the way. Fourth Ziggurat once the second Fiend's on the way. But Happy's at a perfect 39 supply. And then once this Zig is done, Happy's going to do something special that maybe it's not too special for all you undead players. Maybe this is something you've known about for a while, but Happy does something much different here. And remember, Happy realizes in this game, in this position that he's in, that going for Pit Lord 3rd and Rain of Fire all in the expansion is probably not going to work, because remember, he only killed 2 peasants. So Happy's follow-up here is with the understanding that he's going to have to face the Knight Gyro army, and the Tri-Hero, and the Tier 3 of the Human. He understands that. He understands he has to go into the semi-late game to win this at this stage, because all-inning the expansion will not work. So when the Ziggurat finishes, Happy's going to do something that I didn't actually know about until yesterday. But maybe all you guys know. Who knows? Again, creeping defensively so that he can defend this pressure. He just comes back, he creeps a camp, comes back, gets even more experience off the footman. Have a question. What was the tech tree till here? Slaughterhouse and 30 supply before tier 3 tech, then new Zig? Yes. Or no, sorry. When his tier 2 finished, he built the Lich. He built his 40 supply ziggurat, and he built his slaughterhouse. And then he got his tier 3. The ziggurat finished. He built 2 statues and a 4th fiend, putting him at 39 supply. After he got those 2 statues and that 4th fiend out, 1, 2, 3, 4, then he built his 50 supply ziggurat. That was the order of things. So he built the 40 supply zig once his tier 2 was finished. Because this zig only needs to be finished on time for you to be able to get your first statue. So if you build these at the same time, this zig has more than enough time to complete. Again, more footmen, just going to be fed. This is all experience for the heroes. Why not? We're creeping anyway. Why not creep his units? And then Happy will just go right back to creeping.
Summoning.
Note, the ziggurat finishes. Immediate 4th ghoul. Immediate 4th ghoul. This was assertive from Happy, and I love assertive things when I'm analyzing replays. I love it. This ziggurat finished, and he immediately built that 4th ghoul right away. Why does he want a 4th ghoul? Why does he want a 4th ghoul? I've never built a 4th ghoul against human. I've never done it. Why does he want a 4th ghoul? Well, a couple of reasons. 1, fiend upgrades are nice to get. You don't always have the lumber for it. 2, he wants to get pretty early web once he hits tier 3. He's also going to want destroyer form, so that's already 3 things that are lumber heavy upgrades, but web is going to be the most important of those. And the 4th is he's going to go into very early Banshees. Why very early Banshees? Because Happy understands we're going to the late game. Because he only killed 2 peasants, guys. He only killed 2 peasants. He cannot all in the expansion. This is something I see undead players do all the time. They do no damage to the expo, and they go, oh no, but I can't win in the late game. Better still all in. I better still all in because I can't win once they get Knights and Gyros out. Yes, it's difficult, obviously. But they still just all in the expansion. They still just go Pit Lord. Happy realizes if I go Pit Lord, even though I'm better than Hawk, Happy is clearly better than Hawk. If he all ins the expansion, he'll probably lose the game. Because Hawk has such an early tech. He's going to have a very early Mountain King. He's going to have Knights out. Let's take a look at Hawk's tech right now. If Happy were to get tier 3 and go for a Pit Lord and try to push with the orb, Hawk is going to have a Mountain King out. He's going to be halfway to tier 3. He's already got towers. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 towers. He's going to have a 4th. No way a Pit Lord push is going to work here. No way. So Happy understands. I get this 4th ghoul. I'm going to prepare Banshees because that is my late game army. Banshees to possess the Knights, to curse the Knights, and to use anti-magic shield against the Mountain King and the Paladin. That's what Happy's preparing for. 4th ghoul, as soon as that zig is done. Because we're going to need the lumber. And he's going to build the temple very soon as well, after this 4th ghoul. And still creeping defensively. Tier 3 is done. Destroyer form immediately. This ghoul's done. That's his 4th ghoul. He would have built the temple right now, but now he realizes it's going to be canceled, right? He also wants to get the orb. Hello, kitty. Come on. Come on. It's all right. It's all right, kitty. It's all right. It's okay. Yeah, you can lay down. Lay down. Let's learn about Happy's late game against human. Yeah. Yeah, you want to lay down? You want to lay down? You want to lay down? Yeah. Okay. So he would have built the temple, but it's threatened being canceled right now, so he's going to wait a little bit to build the temple. But let's remember, he's just creeping. Every time Hawk comes to his base, he respects it, he defends, he kills a couple footmen, he kills a water elemental, all juicy experience to his heroes, and then he just goes right back to creeping defensively. And he's still got one more full camp that he can creep defensively. He can creep this, and then he can defend, and then he can creep this, and then he can defend, and hopefully by then, Hawk's sort of run out of footmen, and he's sort of run out of steam with this sort of pressure, because Happy's just continuously been in a position to defend. But yeah, destroyer form. Note the lumber for Happy. The necessity for a 4th ghoul is showing because he wants web, because he's getting attack upgrades, and because he still wants temple and even 2 temples.
Our forces are under attack.
He's got the orb now. Of course, destroyer and orb are your 2 priorities once you hit tier 3. Just like Lich and Slaughterhouse and 3rd Zagar when you hit tier 2. Now, could Happy if we were in Happy's shoes here, could we have not crept this and just defended right away? Sure, but Happy chooses to finish up the creep camp and then defend just to gain even more value because he realizes he's so good that he's just not going to lose anything here, even though he does end up losing 1 Acolyte. But, like, you know, obviously we could just come back and defend this right away and then go back and finish the Golem afterwards, but Happy didn't.
Our forces are under attack.
So he'll lose an Acolyte, but more juicy experience, you see? Water Elementals, these Footmen will go down. And once the Footmen are cleaned up, that's pretty much the end of the pressure like this. 2 Water Elementals, 2 Footmen. And then as soon as the pressure's gone, Temple. And also Web coming up. And then another Fiend will come after, and the next Fiend that comes out is a very important one. Because what does Happy realize? What did Happy just do? What did Happy just do that he's aware of? What did he just do? Now, he didn't entirely, but Hawk doesn't realize that. All Hawk sees is, oh, he's got Boots of Quel'The Loss. Happy just cleared a lab. Now, Hawk hasn't cleared his own lab. Happy knows that. Happy checks items all the time. He did not clear a lab. He also would be level 4 Archmage probably if he cleared a lab. No, he wouldn't. I lied. Who cares? Zeppelins are available. Zeppelins are available. That's a very, very common play. Hawk does it all the time. Cruncher does it all the time. Infi does it all the time. Sock does it all the time. Che-Miko may be the only player that doesn't do it all the time. He needs to prepare for a Zeppelin. So he's getting Web after the 4th Fiend. Watch where the 5th Fiend goes, because Happy's aware Zeppelins have been a possibility for the last 30-40 seconds. But Temple comes up. Again, he's continuing to attempt to creep, but also be defensive at the same time. This is a little aggressive from Hawk. Note, you know, this is the beginning of him being over-aggressive. I said that maybe that was his biggest mistake, because the expansion was so clean for Hawk this game that I don't think he needed to just repeatedly push into Happy's base. He could have just crept with this MK, gotten a strong army, and just had a better army. But he's been very, very aggressive, probably for good reasons in his mind, but the fact that now he's been forced to Town Portal means that Happy no longer has to be scared and creep defensively. It means now he can finally go out onto the map and creep a camp that's actually got some juice to it. Note, Temple finishes. Also 5th Fiend on the way, but the Temple finishes, and Happy's going to go Adept and then Master Training. And then once he's got 2 Temples, he'll just start massing Banshees. This is going to be the base of his army. 2 heroes, 2 statues, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fiends, and then he's going to go pretty much all Banshees after that, with a couple of exceptions. But no third statue. He doesn't care about destroyers. If he really needs a destroyer, he'll morph one of these bad boys. But what do you need destroyers for? You're getting Banshees for the knights. He's already going to have workshops. What do you need destroyers for? Right, so he's going to go straight into Banshees. This fiend's going to do something very important. But he's still, Happy still is just going to creep. What is he creeping for? He's just creeping to creep the whole map, because he knows that Hawk's Mountain King just teleported away and is level 1. So this Mountain King might be able to get level 3, but by the time this Mountain King's level 3, especially with the limited number of footmen that Hawk has, Happy's already going to be like level 5 Death Knight, and he's going to be able to creep almost the whole map. And even that, if Happy creep jacks and pressures Hawk's creeping, like maybe he knows that Hawk's creeping down here, Hawk can no longer creep. He's going to have to run away, because Happy has a stronger army until Hawk is tier 3, with knights, with a paladin, with staff. So there's a long time right now that Happy has map control, where many other players would just be Pitlord pushing, while Hawk creeps and sacrifices the towers. Happy is going to creep and control the map and play the hero level advantage game. And he's going to end up this game with level 5/5 heroes. And Hawk isn't going to have bad heroes either, but level 3 Coil Nova, very, very good, of course. So that's what Happy is focusing on right now. He's been focusing, in fact, the entire game on his heroes carrying him. I watched every single game of Sock vs. Happy. There wasn't much instructive there. Watched every single replay from this patch that they played against each other. This 5th Fiend comes out. Happy does this, again, on every map that have Zeppelins. Every single map. He got Web, remember, after the 4th Fiend. 5th Fiend comes out with Web, and he's just going to patrol it. He literally does this essentially for the entire game. Happy doesn't mess around. Many players would not do this. Many players would see the Zeppelin and then start doing this. Happy does it preemptively every game that I watched of his. Pretty much. Patrolling Fiend, getting ready for the Zeppelin, which could be the army, which could be... This reminds me, remember Insup vs. Cruncher on Shallow Grave from DreamHack Winter? Remember when Cruncher's Zeppelin dropped the main base of Insup and Insup GG'd immediately? Wouldn't happen here. Note, if the Zeppelin comes here and tries to drop, the Fiend would immediately web it. If it was anywhere here. Maybe if it was right here it wouldn't, which is why Happy should try to patrol here. But yeah, the Fiend just on patrol will auto-web the Zeppelin before you can drop. Not today versus Focus? Happy played Focus today? And no, just Banshees, the Master Training will come after this, and Happy's just going to keep creeping. He takes the cheese from the bread, and then he runs down because he knows, like we knew, that Hawk is creeping down here, because Hawk obviously isn't going to creep up here. Happy's up here. So Happy's just going to control the map. What's wrong? What, are we not? Is there not plenty of instructive things here, Chewing Bill? Is there not plenty of instructive things here? Is there not plenty of instructive things here from Happy's point of view? Have we not been watching this whole game from Happy's point of view? Has there not been a lot of instructive things here? Eh? Because, you know, it's pretty difficult to beat Hawk. It's pretty difficult to beat Hawk. It's pretty difficult to beat Hawk. Not many players in the world can do this. In fact, there's only a couple players in Europe that can defeat Hawk consistently. Okay? There's reasons why Happy is able to defeat Hawk consistently. It's not just micro. That is a oversimplified version of this game. Here we go. And worth noting, Sock isn't that much better than Hawk. Che Miko is, Sock is not. Sock is not that much better than Hawk. Not that much better. He was at a time, not any longer. Okay, Banshees come out. Fiend's still patrolling, and Happy, no, he's just controlling the map. He's playing the hero level advantage. He's going to continue to do this. He's going to continue to do this. And now Hawk, what is he going to do? He's got to run. He can't creep down here any longer. So he can't creep. Let's count the camps. He can't creep this, 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 or this, or this. So what is he left with? Now, maybe he could creep his lab. That'd probably be the best camp for Hawk to creep. But we know where he is now. Let's remember, Happy took the cheese from the bread here. No item. Took the cheese from the bread here. No item. Took the cheese from the bread here. No item. Took the cheese from the bread here. No item. So really, the only camps that Hawk could creep would be this red. Impossible at this stage in the game. Incredible, incredible performance. What? Yeah, Hawk has beaten Happy in multiple best of threes in the last 2 months, bro. Impossible for him to creep this right now. And the lab, probably the best camp that he could creep. But Happy's still in position to maybe creep jacket, but this might have been the best place for Hawk to creep, given we can see the whole map, obviously. But there's no items. The cheese is gone, and Happy has control of all the important camps on the map now. And behind this, he's going into Banshees. Wait, did you say WGL? Oh my god. Ah, this is actually interesting too. Game hasn't checked. Jesus, yeah. In fact, I will say, for those of you thinking that the meta has not changed too much in this matchup, I watched replays of Happy from 1 month ago, and they were so out of date that I could no longer analyze them because Happy's doing so many different things in the most recent games, the more recent games. His play was so different a month ago that they were no longer applicable. I had to do that's why we're doing the most recent ESL Cup, the next replay is, and this replay is relatively recent too. That's how much Happy's play has changed in the past even month. Try again. Try again. Okay, here we go. This is kind of cool as well. Happy starts to build acolytes here. He builds 2 acolytes, and he does this on many maps. Yes, you could build shades. Yes, he could build shades. But there's workshops, right? There's workshops. There's tanks on the way, by the way. But there's easily going to be at least a flying machine, if not many flying machines. Players like Johnny Cage like to get preemptive 8 to 10 to 12 flying machines. So shade is no better than an acolyte, of course. So there's no reason to get it. So Happy just builds... On many maps, he'll build 1 to 2 acolytes. Now, what does he do with the acolytes? For one, he knows this lab is not crept yet because he's Happy. But so he checks his own lab. He can see if Zeppelins get purchased, if Sappers get purchased, or if Hawk is just in this area because high ground. The other acolyte he's going to use to scout for potential. He could put it here, and he can put it here, or he can put it here to scout for potential third bases. Scout for potential third bases. So he's got 2 acolytes that he's going to use to scout the map. Because, you know, although Happy has very good intuition, he can't see the whole map. And it's very important. Happy can win with this style 2 bases against 1 because he's going to have a massive hero level advantage. And he's going to have Banshees, which can hard counter both the heroes and the knights at a certain extent, to a certain extent. But he cannot win if Hawk towers up a third base and it's 3 bases against 1. Obviously, that's not possible, no matter how good you are. So he's using the Acolyte to scout for the potential of lame and also to scout for the potential of a third base he will in the future. Yeah, I'm just going to time you out, dude. You're just, like, I don't understand, dude. You're just really annoying. Really annoying and really distracting, and you've said nothing of value so far, or anything that's been correct so far. Okay, here we go.
Our forces are under attack.
Okay, Zeppelin comes in. And note, the Zeppelin has to drop, like, here because of the Fiend down here, which, yes, he's going to lose some ghouls, but better to lose ghouls than to lose acolytes, and better to lose maybe your shop than to lose your gold mine. Right, so, and then the town portal immediately. And note, when Happy town portals, Hawk's going to have to TP because or else the Zeppelin would get webbed, and then what can Happy do after he guarantees forcing the town portal here? Look how much he has to creep close to his base when he knows that Hawk is either going to be here or going to be here. You see? So Happy, it doesn't even matter. He's going to just be ahead by default, even if he loses 4 ghouls here.
Our forces are under attack. Research complete.
As soon as Happy saw a tank, builds a meat wagon. Mountain goes down. This is where I say, like, I think Hawk's been over-aggressive in this game. Like this, he could be, but he just felt so forced to make a play because Happy wasn't allowing him to creep anything. Remember, he crept like this, and then Happy was going to take the whole bottom side of the map. So Hawk felt forced to make Happy make a move, but still Happy just defends. And then what has he been doing the whole game? He defends, and then he rebuys TP, builds a meat wagon for the tanks, and starts creeping again. And just a meat wagon back at home. Fiends still patrolling.
Our forces are under attack.
Rebuilds the ghouls that he lost. Acolyte scouting this, because that's another place Hawk could be creeping. Acolyte here scouting this base, because that's a potential play that Hawk might make. Happy's just covering all of his bases at all times. And if Hawk goes again for the counterattack, Happy's going to have gotten 2 big camps, and he just TP's home to defend. Easy peasy.
Our town is under attack.
More tanks. Oh, what do you know? There's a meat wagon and a second meat wagon, and he's getting +1 for the meat wagons.
Research complete.
Yes, he's going to lose some. But Happy's in such a good position hero level-wise that even if he takes some losses, not the end of the world. And note, he didn't even... Happy didn't even, like, preemptively counter the tanks. Yeah, we'll talk about the mortars later on, for sure. He didn't even preemptively counter the tanks. He built the first meat wagon when he saw the first tank. But also, the 4 ghouls not only are great for the lumber... He doesn't get frenzy, by the way, here, in case you're wondering, but... Not only good for the lumber, ghouls are quite good against tanks. So having a 4th ghoul is really good against the tanks. He's got a Nerubian, a Black Citadel, and as soon as he sees the first tank, he just builds a meat wagon. And he's always got that Fiend at the back of the gold mine to not deny the tanks entirely, and to not deny the Zeppelin entirely, but what he does deny with that Fiend almost permanently is Zeppelin drop tanks on his gold mine, which is the biggest threat of tanks. Tanks running in like this, and attacking like a Temple of the Damned, or attacking like your altar, your crypt, or anything that's exposed here, is not a big deal. What becomes a big deal is when they drop 2 tanks on your gold mine, because there's no Fiend here, and then they attack from the front as well. This is the biggest threat. This, yes, he's going to lose the temples, maybe he loses a Ziggurat, but at least he doesn't lose his gold mine. That's when it becomes a serious issue for undead players. And he's got a meat wagon. And yeah, he lost the temples, but look at the hero levels. And they lose the temples, and he realizes, I'm going to the late game. What do I need for the late game? I need banshees. So he's just going to rebuild the temples. And what else is he going to do? Oh, he's just going to go back to creeping after he defends. Note, Happy hasn't even gone to the human base. He hasn't even gone to Hawk's base ever since that re-aggression to buy time for the Lich. He's only killed 2 peasants this whole game. And then other than that, he's just been creeping, macroing, and defending. And controlling the map, playing the hero level advantage. Worth noting, Hawk did exactly what he should have. This is perfect from Hawk. This is exactly what he had to do. He's creeping the red. And Hawk is actually going to do a great job of, despite Happy controlling the map so well, Hawk is actually going to scrape together 4-3-3 heroes. Which is the dream. That's exactly what you want as a human player. He's going to scrape together because Hawk is a really good player. Note, the Acolyte still here. Acolyte still here. Or the Acolyte died, rather? Oh, it was dying as we saw it. I see. And just continues to scout everything. And continues to creep. With the goals being, of course, Lich level 5, Death Knight level 5. Meat wagons. Fiend still in the back. Rebuilding the temple. Well, he'll actually rebuild both temples. A 3rd meat wagon might be ambitious. But maybe Happy feels his heroes are so strong at this point that as long as he doesn't die to tanks... Okay, he canceled it. He canceled it. The obvious difference is items versus no items, for sure. Note, the only items that Hawk has been able to creep is been, he got Hood of Cunning. He also got this from his lab, Lionhorn. But other than that, remember, item taken, item was taken, item was taken, item was taken. Those are all camps that Hawk has, like, tried to clean up, but he hasn't gotten an item from them. Whereas Happy, you say he's got really good item luck, that's what everyone says, which these are great, of course, but he got the whole map. He got every item from the map,
Summoning
essentially.
is complete.
Close to. He got about 80%. If there's a pie chart of the items on the map, he got like 80% of it. Because Hawk really only got 1, 2, 3. He got 4 items. He got 4 items on the map. Maybe he got this one earlier, I think. So maybe he got 5. Yeah, and if you're selling the items, that's more gold to equalize the gold disadvantage. Also, just creeps give gold, right? So note the supply now. 58 against 64. Why is this? Because Happy hasn't been losing any units because he hasn't been playing super aggressive into the human's base. He's been playing defensive. And Hawk has been the one playing aggressive, throwing away units to kill buildings, but Happy hasn't actually been losing any real units. He's only lost ghouls and acolytes so far. And then on top of that, Happy's been controlling the map, getting the creeps, getting the items. So he's actually managed to keep the supply nearly even, despite Hawk mining a whole lot more. What is this? 6,000 more. Zeppelin, trying to drop the tanks, but it can't drop them back here. And there's already double meat wagons. These tanks at this point are a waste of gold. Happy maybe could have done a bit better of job solo creeping and getting Lich 5. Oh well. No, Acolyte Scouting. Acolyte Scouting. And obviously there's not a real chance for Happy, or for Hawk rather, to expand here. And Happy realizes as long as he keeps it, you know, these bases against his. Also the thing about Tidehunters is, if you fast expand on this map, these gold mines tend to run out at the same time. See? So Happy knows as long as he's in an equal state by the time his main runs out, they're both going to be out of gold. And Happy has the better heroes, and he's got Banshees. So on map, specifically Tidehunters, if you can deny your opponent from getting a third, and you don't lose too much in the meantime, by the time this is out, by the time you're in the super late game with mains ran out, you're in a fine position, because their expansion has run dry as well. Still, though, look how good Hawk is doing despite Happy playing nearly perfectly. He got 3/3/3 heroes. He's got a decent army with 1/1 upgrades. Like, the fact that Hawk's even managed to scrape together 3/3/3 is absurd. That's so good for him. Yeah, Hawk was... There's many reasons why the supply is nearly equal right now. Many, many reasons. Level 5 on the Lich. And just more Banshees now. Note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Fiends. The meat wagons were a necessity, or else he wouldn't have built meat wagons, and he would have just... Sometimes Happy will build a 6th Fiend, but he won't go more than 6 Fiends. He'll generally just go pure Banshee at 5 or 6 Fiends. Acolyte goes down, but it did its job. I'm really wondering if Happy will replace that Acolyte. I doubt it at this stage. And look, just tons and tons of Banshees. The Fiends, by the way, 2-0. Sometimes he'll go 1-1 and then 2-2. But, like, these knights might be scary for you sometimes. But in this case, he's got 5/5 heroes. He's got Master Banshees with a ton of mana. He's not really that scared. He's not really that scared. Hawk makes a tiny error as well. Maybe not tiny. He kind of doesn't preempt by getting mortar teams. But all his workshop production time was used on tanks until now. But now he's finally transitioning into mortar teams, which are needed against the Banshees. Which brings us to the super late game now. Kind of. It's not the super late game. We're getting to the late game. Super late game's like 40-minute mark. We're getting to the late game. And it's all led up to this part. So, here's the whole thing. Banshees counter the Knights. Knights counter the Fiends. Right? So you deal with the Knights. Your Fiends are alive. Easy peasy fight. Now, what counters the Banshees, which counter the Knights, which counter the Fiends? Well, Frag Shard mortar teams. What can you do to deal with Frag Shard mortar teams? This is something that many players do not fully concentrate on doing. Now, Happy's hero levels are 5-5. You only need 3-3 to do this. Or wait. You need 5-3 or 3-3? 200, 150. You need 5-3 to do this. You need 5-3, right? Because mortar team's 360 health. Mortar team's a 360 health. Yeah, 360. So. The fact that Happy has... Yes, he's got Lich level 5 as well. Is it 3-3, right? Wouldn't that be 350, though? You know where I'm getting at, right, Jack? You know what I'm getting at. Isn't it 350? Because 200 plus 150, 350, they get away with 10 health. Right? Level 2 Nova 200? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, he's got 3-3. So even with, regardless, that was my original point too anyway, was 3-3. But Happy's heroes are at a point, and they would be quite easily, even if this game didn't go as well as it had gone, and he managed to get 5-5. Oh, I didn't realize Nova was, yeah, that makes sense, actually. Yeah. So, even if it hadn't gone as well as it had, even if he's only 3-3, he can still do this. But 5-5 makes it even easier because you can threaten Archmage if it's out of position. You can force Holy Lights on heroes. You can even nuke down Knights at this stage. So, because his heroes are so good, he already has the counter to the mortar teams. There's no way to save these if you Coil Nova them. So what Happy does better than anyone in the world, of course, is he preempts the fight. You guys know the dynamic when you're a Night Elf player with a Demon Hunter against Undead, where you don't just face roll into them, right? You don't just run into them, the Undead, when they have full mana, and just attack move and like, oh no, I lost my Demon Hunter to Coil Nova. Fork Lightning. You don't do that. What do you do as a Night Elf player when you're preparing for a fight against Undead? You run your Demon Hunter in, you eat a Coil Nova, mana burn, staff it out, heal up at the Moonwells, continue to buy time with a Dryad flank, you run in, mana burn the Death Knight, eat a Coil Nova, push an invulnerability, run away, rejuve over top, buy a health pot from the shop, heal up at the Moonwells, and then you fight after they've Coil Nova'd and you've mana burned twice. And they're lower on mana. Now, what is Happy going to do in this fight? He's not just going to run blindly into a well-positioned Hawk that has 4 mortar teams in the back. You know, he's got triple staff off cooldown. No, he's going to preempt the fight. What is he going to do? With these 5-5 ridiculous heroes, his main priority is going to be, but you're not always going to be given this opportunity, you're going to be sniping mortar teams. That is your main... If ever there is a mortar team out of position, there's going to be times in this game where Happy might have even been able to get an Archmage kill. But he still, a lot of the time, will choose to kill a mortar team. So he's going to preempt this fight, just like a Demon Hunter player against Undead does with Mana Burn, by Coil Novaing down the mortar teams given every opportunity. So when you get in this spot in the game, when you're getting ready to finally fight, when you finally got your hero levels, when the gold mines are getting close to empty, when you have your Banshees, when you are relatively even in supply, you've defended the tank and the footman and the level 3 Archmage pressure. Now it's time to prepare for the fight. So Happy's going to snipe the mortar teams. Number one priority, he's going to move around, he's going to try to position and find a way to get to those mortar teams, which he's better at than anyone in the whole world. The other thing he's going to do, he's going to be forcing the staff usage before. So if you can force a staff on a Knight without ideally using Coil Nova, if you can just focus down and maybe use like one nuke on a Knight and force the staff to be on cooldown, that's really good. That prepares you for the fight in the future. And another thing he's going to be doing is he's going to, a lot of the time, be nuking the Paladin. Coil Nova on the Paladin, get it to half health, even if he has Divine Shield. Lowering that Paladin sets you up for the Divine Shield to be on cooldown, and also the Paladin to already be within death threshold with the next Coil Nova. So those are 3 main things. He's going to kill the mortar teams. He's going to force the staff on cooldown, and a lot of the time he's going to nuke the Paladin, or if given the opportunity, he's going to nuke the Mountain King or the Archmage. But Paladin should be the main priority to try to lower that health, so that, you know, if the Paladin uses Divine Shield and he's half health already, once that Divine Shield's gone, he's got to be staffed out. Again, that forces another staff cooldown. So this is the stage of the game that we're in. This is where the micro of Happy comes into play. But everything leading up to this stage, other than maybe the Acolyte micro. But it wasn't a ton of crazy micro in this game. It was mostly when he built units, where he moved on the map. It was mostly map positioning, Happy. Where he was on the map, at what time, what camps he crept at what time, and the units that he built at what time. That's what got him into this position. What's going to close the game out is going to be micro. Sorry, undead players. It does sometimes come down to micro. Here we go. Yes, level 3 Paladin is very, very good. But it's important to realize that a level 3 Paladin is not invulnerable, despite having Divine Shield. And you have lots of mana. Look how much mana Happy has. And what makes this easy, preempting the fight, you might be saying, yeah, but he's just going to Stormbolt. He's just going to Stormbolt and focus fire my heroes and kill one Banshee after the next. Anti-magic shield. Statues. He goes in with the heroes, uses the Coil Nova, and gets out. And the statues always top off the Banshees. And if ever Hawk overcommits to a fight and he's out of position, importantly, if the mortar teams are out of position, not only do they all die, but also all the knights get possessed. So if ever Hawk takes a bad fight, that's when Happy possesses. He's not going to run in blindly here. This might be something that I would do. I would say, oh my god, I have Master Banshees. Let's go. Let's fight. I'm going to go and possess all his knights. Every single Banshee dies to mortar team shots. No, Happy's not going to possess until he absolutely is sure he's in a position to do so. Now, let's look at this through the lens of Happy. What is the obvious play here? Now, we could nuke this Archmage. I actually don't know what he's going to nuke. My guess would be he's going to nuke this mortar team, though. Now, he could nuke this Archmage. I think he's going to nuke this mortar team, though. Let's see. I don't actually know the answer to this. There we go. Mortar team down. Could have been dodged by the staff. Both players have very good ping, but difficult. Oh, what do you know? He killed another mortar team. I watched this game so far on my own a few weeks ago. It's important to note Hawk had idle workshops for 2 to 3 minutes. He should have way more morts. Yeah, I did mention that. That his mortar teams were late for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why. But as I said, like I said at the beginning of this, there's going to be mistakes from Hawk. There's going to be mistakes. Kills 2 mortar teams. Hawk gets a little overzealous because he's, oh my god, you're killing all my mortar teams. And then the possession comes in once the mortar teams have been sniped. Oh, what do you know? Another mortar team. Dead. Oh, what do you know? Cool mortar team, bro. Oh, I think he actually goes for the Archmage here. Oh, cool knight, bro. And probably game, but Hawk has a third now, so he's managed to hold on. But yeah, honestly, this is probably game over, right? No comment about that MK being deleted. All I'll say is this whole game has led up to this point. 5-5 undead heroes. That was Happy's goal. This is what it was. Nice Lich items. Nice Death Knight items. 5-5 heroes. Banshees. Very simple, but really at the end of the day, the heroes win him the game. Because of how he played the mid-game, how he crept, how he positioned, how he controlled the map, how he denied Hawk from getting key crucial camps and allowed himself to get them. That's how the Mountain King got deleted. See, it's impossible to talk about undead versus human without people complaining the whole time. But if we just possess the mortars instead, that's a deep dive into the back. It's always the human players, I find, too. It's never any other races. So you guys really do it to yourselves. Because doing this show, this is episode number 37. I only ever have issues when it's something to do with human, about people crying in the chat. It's only ever that. Never the orc players, never the elf players, never the undead players. It's only ever the humans. I'll say that. Now the meat wagons finally come in, of course, because there's no chance of workshops at this point building tanks. But also I want to note the meat wagons stayed here just in case for a very, very long time. And obviously Happy's in an excellent position now. I mentioned when the gold mines run out, that means that Hawk is going to be completely out of gold. And then what happens when we're completely out of gold? Well, he who has the better heroes tends to win. And that person is, of course, Happy. Oh, by the way, Banana Max, sorry I missed you earlier. I was in the heat of the moment. Says, I wish human wasn't so dependent. Endeavor's human was so dependent on the humans expo. Well, if you're a lower level player, try Pally Rifles, bro. Try Pally Rifles. It's quite good if you're not playing at like a top pro level. It's quite good. I'd recommend. And that way you don't have to expand. Flare, and, you know, Hawk still has enough gold to get up to, 80, but Happy's going to be evenly. And then what is Happy going to do in the next fight? Well, I actually don't remember, but I imagine he's going to preempt the fight. He's going to nuke the mortar teams. He's going to force the staff off cooldown. He's going to pressure the paladin. When Hawk overcommits to the fight, after losing the first couple mortar teams, then Happy will bait him in and possess the knights. Flare, by the way, is pretty good. It reveals a whole lot of the map. Let's see. Look how much vision Flare gives. This is crazy, dude. Look at this. Nerf human. Am I right, guys? Am I right? Am I right? Right, guys? Right? Well, if you know, it's actually on a 60-second cooldown, so not actually that good. Or is it? Or I think I'm thinking of reveal off the arcane tower. Oh, I gotta allow that. Sorry, guys. See, right there, he was looking for the mortar teams, but they're very well positioned, so he backs away, doesn't overcommit in, right? Backing away. See, this is a fight we could still lose. We could still lose. I want to reiterate, because Hawk is a really good player. It's all right, Jack. Hawk is a really good player. This is a fight that many people could still lose. But Happy kites. He kites. He finds his opening. He snipes double mortar teams. Snipes 3 mortar teams. Look, he's purely going for the mortar teams. And then, once he can, he goes for the possessions. And he actually only gets 1. See, 53 versus 63. Could definitely lose in this position, guys. But luckily, the heroes are our big advantage. Kites again. Mortar team's dead. He gets 2 more possessions. This fight was not free, though. This fight was very losable. Very losable. That's why I said, there does come a point when you do have to micro very, very well. It's not easy. That's what I started the whole episode with. This is not easy. There's a reason why many people don't play Ted Fiends against humans. There's a reason. This is the reason. And 6/6 heroes tend to do pretty well. Ally position might have been the flaw for sure. I think the mortar teams were a little overextending there too. And Happy wins the game. Now, to say there's nothing in there of value is crazy talk. There's a ton in there. There's a ton in there. So that's replay number 1. That's the first replay. Now, the second replay is going to be pretty much the same. Slight differences, different map. Third replay is going to be very much different. In fact, it's going to be a little bit of an older replay as well. But there was a lot in there that Happy did that was not just micro. I think people oversimplify Happy's play all the time. I think they oversimplify it in every matchup, in fact. They oversimplify it down to just like, well, he just wins the fights no one else would win. No, he gets himself into a position where his army and his heroes are strong enough to win him fights that no one else would win. Because you would have level 3/2 DK Lich and 2 Abominations and 6 Destroyers. 6 Destroyers is 30 supply. Thank you, TL Riddler. I'd have set up a Haunted. See? Happy's all about efficiency. He only got absolutely what was necessary at every stage in the game. See ya, Blubber. Very, very efficient play. Very passive play. He held the defense at his home base time after time after time after time after time. Got the army he needed, got the heroes levels he needed. And then at the very end of the game, at about the 18-minute mark, that's where the beautiful execution came into play. That's where it came into play. Execution in terms of micro, in terms of mechanics. You see? Get DK Ultimate for dabbing on nerds, yeah. But you're saying tanks aren't viable? Come on, man. No, what I'm saying is I think Hawk's biggest error in that game was being over-aggressive with the tanks. You remember that attempted temple cancel when he had to TP? When he just ran straight across the map with the Mountain King and tried to cancel the temple and then had to TP with his Archmage on 5 health? I'm saying his mistake was partially the tanks, but overall was just being very, very aggressive after he was ahead. Because Hawk was objectively ahead after that early game. He only lost 2 peasants. That is good for human. That is a good early game for human. What would have been better? Losing 1 peasant? Losing 0 peasants? Other than that, not much could have been better for Hawk. Yeah, Banshees are really the unit against human. They are the unit. Undead's best unit is Knight? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so replay number 2. I would go into a break right now, but my cat is hard chilling, so we're gonna not do a break, and we're gonna let the kitty chill, and we're gonna go into replay number 2. Here we go. Maybe we'll take a break after this replay. How about that? So this is going to be very, very similar to the last game. It will be on Northern Isles. We'll see if there's any big differences, and we'll try to figure out why. But if not, we'll use this as another game to just reinforce the same sort of things that we talked about on Tidehunters. Yeah, my wolf shirt. You like it? Yeah, dude. Pretty dope, right? Super dope. I love this shirt, man. This is one of my favorites. One of my favorite shirts. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, here we go. Replay number 2. So here's Happy. Again, if you guys are still confused what I mean by Ted Fiends, I fully explained what the build order was in the first replay, so you can go back and you can watch that, but we'll just say he does a Ted Fiends build order. 1 Zig Tech, no Nerubian in this game. Yeah, Kaiser, well, let's see how Happy does it here exactly. Yeah, that is interesting. Tidehunters is one of the easier maps to play this control-y style because there's so much more value on one side of the map than the other, whereas almost every other map in the game is completely mirrored. So they get all their creeps on their side, you get all your creeps on your side, like an Echo Isles, but less, you know, obvious. So it's more difficult on maps other than Tidehunters, but let's see what Happy does in the mid-game when he creeps here. So Acolyte killed the critter. All is standard in the world. Acolyte gonna go C. You obviously know where your human opponent's going to expand here, but you'd also like to know where he's creeping. Is he gonna creep the green? Is he gonna creep the Tuskars?
Summoning is complete.
All standard. And DK will come out and creep again. Pulls a ghoul. This is pretty new. I don't know how new, because I'm not an undead player, but I have to say last time I casted Happy Games, he wasn't doing this. So it's new enough. Forced into a defensive coil because of the footman. Not the end of the world. He might be forced into a Nerubian because of the footman as well. I'm an orc player. I'm an orc player by trade. Okay, second camp will be the Expo. Calls of attack for Happy. Oh, what else can Happy do on this map that he could also do on... Well, that he can do on 3 of the maps in the 7-map map pool. He can go to the marketplace. Never seen this before. Interesting. Would be interesting to see the tech speed difference. Yeah, the actual difference in tech speed is, I think, about a full return on lumber. Because I'll restart really quick. I don't actually have a direct comparison. I could have done the math, but I didn't. But if you see, when he's done creeping, he's almost exactly at 190 wood. So if that ghoul was mining, he obviously would have had the tech done. So you see, I imagine that ghoul would have a full return on lumber, and he'd already be teching. But he also micros, so he's probably going to do... And then he returns. So it's pretty quick. I think about maybe 5 seconds he loses. Maybe a little over.
Is complete. Our town is under attack.
Okay, the Acolyte scouts and buys some time. Yeah, he also skips backpack for sure. Yeah, which is something he hasn't been getting backpack recently because I think he's been preferring this late game style. But the next replay we watch, he's going to get backpack.
Our town is under attack.
Well, it's not just that, Kaiser, though. You also take less damage. Because note, he tanks all the damage on the ghoul. So the DK is actually just healthier. Again, level 2, same as Tidehunters. Again, he's going to go stop by the marketplace right away. And it's nighttime, same as Tidehunters. Everything's the same. The Acolyte's alive, that's different. Gets a Nerubian because the footman forced him to. And he's going to buy some items here. Almost gets the surround, but that's a little ambitious, Happy. I mean, come on. But this time he buys a mantle and gloves of haste, sells the cloak. Lich, already an insane Lich. Happy gets the best items all the time. He really only found a clause of attack. He makes his own luck. He makes his own luck. My cat left. She's gone. Unbelievable. How many peasants is Happy gonna get? He's got full mana. Certainly he'll get 45 peasants this time, right? And by the way, just to mention, this is the replay that Todd said would be very instructive, just to harken back to what we were talking about earlier in the chat, in case you're unaware what the hell we were talking about. Todd just said this might be a cool replay to watch. This is the replay we're watching from the most recent ESL Cup of Hawk against Happy. So he gets the tower cancel. One peasant. Tower cancel's nice, of course. You could almost equalize that to maybe even a peasant kill. Maybe even more than that, but a second peasant kill. Yeah, tower cancel's nice. Maybe you could even say that that is a peasant or two worth. Because why is that worth so valuable? I don't know why Happy did that. It might have been a mistake. It might be on purpose. Won't go into much detail. We can talk about match fixing. Not on this show, Monster Hands. Not on this show, okay? Maybe another show for that. So, why the Arcane Tower cancel is such a big deal? Well, remember when we were talking about the re-aggression to force Hawk to be defensive so that Hawk can't be pressuring our base with level 3 Archmage, which isn't possible right now, but it will be soon after this green camp. Well, the tower cancel forces Hawk to be even more defensive because he doesn't have an Arcane Tower for even longer. So again, he's going to have to leave these footmen behind in case of a re-aggression.
Our forces are under attack.
Loses the Acolyte. I said I would mention this earlier. No, he wants to lose the Acolyte because if he didn't, he would have been at 23 supply right now, right? And then when he builds one more Fiend, he'd be at 26 supply, right? And then he wouldn't be able to build a Lich until the third Ziggurat was dead. So you actually need to lose that Scout Acolyte before your tier 2 is done. Worth mentioning. And Happy actually goes all the way back. All the way back. Gets another rod. And now he's going to re-aggress. And I want to mention, this early game is going to be even worse than Tidehunters. He's got 2 peasants again, and he got the tower cancel, so it's a slightly better harass. The re-aggression, though, remember Tidehunters, Happy pressured, and then he faked like he was going back, and he went in a circle and re-pushed, which made Hawk play more defensive, which gave him safety until his Lich was out. This game, Happy went all the way back home, got another rod, and then pressured the expansion. So what does this allow Hawk to do? Well, Hawk now has the opportunity to probably run across the map and be at Happy's base by the time Happy gets to his expansion. And the Arcane Tower is already going to be up because Happy's re-aggressing later also. So this might turn out to be a mistake for Happy because he gave a little bit too much space to Hawk, allowing Hawk to be the one that's aggressive, which is something you want to avoid in most cases, in my opinion, because or else you get stuck in your base and you get owned. But let's see. Let's see how Happy does it. Let's see how it works out for him. So far he's got 2 peasants. Let's see if it gets any better for him. Second Fiend on the way as well. Tier 2 is done. Remember, Lich, Slaughterhouse will get the 3rd Zig. Once he has the gold. Of course, he invests in the 2nd rod, so he's a bit short. So he re-aggresses, finds the footman. Luckily, Hawk is still trying to creep level 3. Okay, there's the 3rd Zig.
Our town is under attack.
So luckily for Happy this time around, that Arcane Tower actually allowed him, which is so sick, right? This might not be exactly what happened. This might not be exactly why this happened or how this happened, but that Arcane Tower cancel also, like, literally gave Happy just enough time to go back home, get another rod, and then re-aggress. Whereas on Tidehunters, when he didn't get the Arcane Tower cancel and it was up earlier, he actually had to turn around earlier. I don't know if that's really what happened. You'd have to actually ask the players of, like, is that what happened? Because you never, that's way too high level for me to assume. But if that's what happened, that's pretty sick, right? That's pretty sick. Happy knowing I got the tower cancel, I can go back, and he's going to have to play defensive, or else I come back in and cancel the tower again and kill all your peasants. Kind of sick, right?
Our town is under attack.
Because note, if the footmen weren't here to defend, to sort of block the DK and the Fiends for that couple of seconds they did, this tower would have guaranteed got cancelled once the Death Knight got in there with this plus damage. Super duper sick. And what do you know? The Lich is out. The Lich is out. Happy can go back home, and he can defend the footman because he's got Nova. Of course, Happy knows that. You think? I don't know. That seems like too. That seems too. I don't know what the word would be. It's too presumptuous for sure, but there's a word there. You know, there's a word there.
Summoning is complete.
And then Happy reaggresses again, which is interesting. He reaggresses again. Now, this is worth noting. When Happy's aggressing here, in the last replay, what he was doing was, remember, he was creeping the shop. Or no, he's creeping the small turtles in front of his base. So that would be the equivalent right now of Happy maybe, instead of being aggressive at the expo for the 3rd time, it'd be the equivalent of Happy creeping this right now, pulling this and creeping that. That's the equivalent of what he was doing on Tidehunters. Right? Whereas this game, Happy goes straight across. No, there's no delay here, Monster Hands. There's no delay, bro. He goes straight across, which is going to prove, I think, to be a mistake. This might be a calculated risk. He's going to get more peasants, but he's almost certainly going to have to town portal, and his tier 3 is going to be very delayed as well. Whereas if Happy had just started creeping this, he would have been in a perfect position to defend this, and had the Lich perfectly on time, having taken no damage and getting his tier 3 super early as well. So this might be a mistake. It might not be. Maybe he gets a lot of peasants. Again, I think it's debatable. I don't know. Let's see how much damage he gets done. Presumptuous? Didn't I say presumptuous? No, I was thinking there's another word for it. More specific to analysis by a pundit. Is that what I am? Yeah, that's what I am, right? So Happy's going to lose some acolytes. He's certainly going to have to TP, and he's also certainly going to have to delay his tech. Okay, let's get a peasant count. So he killed 1, 2, 3 more peasants. And he canceled the shop. Okay.
Our town is under attack.
So he kills 3 peasants more, but he's going to lose 2 acolytes. His town portal, his tech is delayed by quite a while. And he almost loses the gold mine, but he's not going to. Don't worry, guys. No, definitely not, Mustrans. Happy's a better player. Happy kills a lot of footmen here, too. Maybe Hawk should have gotten out there. Maybe he should have just traded TPs because he killed 2 acolytes, but I'll ask the question. I mean, this was a lot of footmen at the end, but up to the point where he killed a bunch of those, Oh, 3rd peasant was a footman? Okay, so so he's killed 4 peasants, and then he's killed 4 footmen. But let's ignore this for a second. Let's ignore these footman losses for a second. Ignoring those, because I would like to consider those extra footman losses a mistake from Hawk, because I think Hawk should have just, after he killed that 2nd Acco, he should have just TP'd immediately. So let's consider that a mistake from Hawk for a second. But if Hawk had TP'd instantly, killed those 2 acolytes, traded TPs, delayed the tier 3 for this long, would this have been a mistake for Happy? Or is it still an equal game? Would this have been a mistake? This re-aggression from Happy? Assuming these... I think Happy's ahead now that he's killed these footmen as well. But, had he not, would it be a mistake? I don't know. I don't know. Don't know. But 4 footmen, 4 peasants, TP's traded. Now Happy can get his tier 3 and start creeping. And there's plenty to creep defensively. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of 6, not really, camps close to the base that you can creep, while still maintaining your defense. Gets another rod. Still waiting to tech, of course. But then after he starts teching Happy, all will resume as normal, right? Everything will be the same. Oh, look, he took the cheese from the bread. What's he gonna do now? What's he gonna do now? Now, I'm pretty sure he was attempting to take the cheese from the bread here as well, but kind of got lucky. But this is the most obvious thing for Hawk to be doing, other than maybe taking the lab would be another pretty common thing for Hawk to be doing right now. Or maybe aggressing again. Maybe this is a little bit of a lucky creep check, but I think regardless, Happy's just going to be content with taking the item here. Who's better, 1 to 0 or Happy? We'll find out. No, we won't find out. Well, we'll never know.
Our pound is under attack.
Cheese from the bread. Not allowing Hawk... Allowing Hawk to get a little bit of experience, yeah, but not allowing Hawk to get any items, just like Tidehunters. Because it's worth noting, like, we have to realize here, and this is both a blessing and a curse to undead players here. Undead players have map control almost the entire game against human. What does human have if not map control? They have an economic advantage. They have the potential for their army to be better into the late game. That's what they have. Those are the advantages that they try to push. What Undead has is map control almost the entire game. So you can use that map control not just to be aggressive the whole time, like many Undead players are. Many Undead players use this map control to try to just kill peasants and try to all in the expansion and try to kill more peasants and destroyer push and lich first, you know, 2 crypt ghoul all-ins. But what Happy's doing is he's using his map control to just control the map, to just creep everything, not allow Hawk to get any items, any creeps. And yes, you're going to be on 2 bases. Yes, you're eventually going to get to that scary army that's really, really hard to beat, but I'm going to have every item and all the experience. That's exactly what he's using map control just like every Undead player does, but he's just using it in a different way.
Our town is under attack.
What do you think he's going to do next? I think I got a good guess.
Our forces are under attack.
Mountain King out. Gonna go creep the Scorpions. That could be creep Jackable, but why not creep another big camp? Cheese gone from the bread. Incredible. It's actually Grubby said it first, OMG. And then I started saying it way too often. But I think it's a great way to put it, you know? Yes, Hawk's getting the Scorpions, but what can he do after that? Can he go to the red camp? Wait, he's not even taking the Scorpions? What the hell? Did he I swear to God, maybe he faked that. But in my head, and probably Happy's head, because he saw him move over here, probably taking the Scorpions, what else can he do? He can't go creep the red. He doesn't have the forces to do so, so he's going to have to go, like, all the way over here. That's why it's pretty smart that Hawk actually just ran over here right away. Now at least he can get these camps. But if Happy wants to, he could just run over here and creep jack, continue to control the map. Happy's going to do something a little bit differently, though. And by the way, worth noting, is the 4th ghoul done? No, of course the 4th ghoul will be done after this ziggurat. Going up to 41 supply. Temple on the way as well. Preemptive temple. This is earlier than last game, but Hawk has been less aggressive this game, so Happy's getting it early so he can get that Adept and Master Banshee training done. Once the Zig is done, we'll keep an eye on it. He'll probably build a 4th ghoul.
Our forces are under attack.
Army's the same, though. 4 Fiends, 2 Statues, 2 Heroes. Skeleton scouting. See, I think everyone thought here that Hawk was taking the Scorpions, which would have been bad for him, by the way. He ended up doing what the good play was to go over here. But a little bit confused. Did he unsummon Altar? No, he's got it still. He's got it still.
Our forces are under attack.
Another temple on the way. Adept and then Master. And does he already have a 4th ghoul? No, he doesn't. He should build a 4th ghoul soon. And he just goes straight to the red camp. Why not? Keep creeping. And this is still close enough to his base that... I need a sip of water, 1 sec. Sorry, I haven't stopped talking for almost 7 hours now. This is close enough to Happy's base that, yes, he doesn't have a TP, but he's about to be level 4. He can pretty easily run back if he needs to. But he's also scouting with skeletons in such a way that he scouted this whole line right here, and he scouted this whole line right here. So he's got a pretty good idea, but there is a chance he could get Zeppelin dropped and he would take some serious damage. But I think Happy's just making a judgment call that that's not going to happen. And he's taking a slight risk here, but that could happen. That definitely could happen. Fourth ghoul? 4th ghoul? He should build a 4th ghoul. He should. He should. We'll keep an eye on it. Getting a 5th fiend, though. He gets Endurance Aura. So now he's got level 2 Aura and Endurance. Can definitely get back home. Skeleton actually finds the army of Hawk. So no longer was this a risk. And he sees no Zeppelin. He knows that Hawk is just going to creep this. And then he's probably going to hit his base. So Happy's going to probably take these Scorpions and then just run back home right away. I would imagine. 4th ghoul? 4th ghoul?
Research complete.
4th ghoul? Did his 4th ghoul die? I swear he builds a 4th ghoul here. Hey, Sim Salawim. Thanks for the first time prime. Appreciate you. See, he creeps the Scorpions and runs straight back because he knows that Hawk is just going to run straight to his base after creeping that. Because what else is he going to do? He could creep these. Yes, maybe. But if he creeps these, he's most likely going to get creep-jacked. So it's, you know, best to force maybe Happy back. That's probably one of the few plays that he has, right? So Happy knows. He just runs straight back. There's the 4th ghoul. Better late than never, right? And again, Destroyer form. And again, after this ghoul, he'll get Web. After he's got Web, he'll keep a Fiend back here. All is going to be the same as last game. Just a little bit different, like earlier temples, because he wasn't being pressured as much. And later 4th ghoul, again, probably because he wasn't being pressured as much. His lumber wasn't as hurting as it was, because he didn't have to pull the ghouls as often to defend. So that's the reason for these things, I would assume. Again, Hawk a little bit over-aggressive, kind of runs into the base and then just town portals.
Our forces are under attack. Research complete.
And again, tanks. And then Web. And then the Fiend goes to the back of the gold mine. And there it will stay. There it will stay. And Adept and then Master, and then he'll go into Banshees. He's got his 5 Fiends. The 5th Fiend is playing the defensive role. He's got his Destroyer form. He's got his +1. Oh, he canceled his Web for some reason. Maybe to afford the Master. Yeah, to afford this, he canceled the Web. Because Web's a 30-second upgrade. It's very quick. Rebuys the TP. And he'll probably continue creeping and controlling the map. Is this Tuskar still available? No, he took the cheese from that earlier. Yes, the Fiend is there to counter the 2-tank Zeppelin drop specifically. Yes, I think that is specifically what it's for. Because if the army gets Zeppelin dropped, as long as it's not Zeppelin drop back here, a Zeppelin drop here isn't a big deal, a Zeppelin drop here is not a big deal, here it's not a big deal, the army running in isn't a big deal. None of that matters. It's only when they drop directly on your gold mine that it can be really impactful. Hawk kills the Fiend, only loses Footman. Not bad, right? Not bad. But the issue now becomes, look at the hero levels. What is he going to creep? He's almost 3, barely level 1 Paladin. And he can't really creep anything. Now these are going by a little secret. Secretive, I should say. This was around the timing when Happy last game, remember, started building Acolytes to scout around the map. He hasn't done that this game, but if he had... he might have seen this a little bit easier, right? Might have seen it a little bit easier.
Research complete.
Note. Zeppelin immediately webbed. Easy peasy. This tank gonna get surrounded. And then he can run back. Heroes are almost equal this game. Not. I think the yeah, I think the main thing is the paladin level. Not being able to get level 2 or level 3 paladin becomes a serious issue for humans. You kind of need the paladin level 3, and also very important, Mindhunter says, items as well. Yes, items are not even either. And tanks are more of a liability than anything. They're just going to feed experience. That's a Zeppelin and 3 tanks for pretty much a little bit of repair. And then Fiend goes right back to its duty, patrolling. And now we have the Banshees. And, oh, what do you know? He built a 6th Acolyte to scout the expansions. And why did he scout this expansion? Because he knew, he just saw Hawk's Heroes, he knew the upper left was not crept. He knew that he crept the bottom right, but this one wasn't open. So he sent the Acolyte down here first, and then he was going to send the Acolyte to the upper left right after. So Hawk would have had to creep this and then build towers, but the bottom right was the only place that was open. So he scouted that. And what do you know? This late Acolyte that he gets, even sometimes the 2 late Acolytes that he gets, around the time when he's going into Banshee production, when he wants to round out his 50 supply, he gets that Acolyte. Because or else he would have been at 49 supply. Why not get an Acolyte, right? What else is 1 supply? A Shade and an Acolyte. That's it.
Our town is under attack.
More tanks. Meatwagon might be wise here. He's got the Ziggurat to do it. But he can always kill the towers and then town portal away. Remember, the very important fact is to not allow the human to get a 3rd base.
Our forces are under attack.
And again, Happy might lose his temples, but what's important, he's not getting Zeppelin dropped on his gold mine. So yeah, he can lose the temples, lose the altar, even lose the graveyard. What's important is he doesn't take actual economic damage for the most. I mean, he's got to repair still. He's got to rebuild. That's kind of economic damage, but you know that, right? You know that. Don't lose your gold mine, is what I'm saying. Don't lose your gold mine.
Our town is under attack.
And he doesn't even town portal back. He's so confident. He could have town portaled back. He did build a meat wagon, in fact. He broke upkeep with the meat wagon. So it's not as though he's not respecting the tanks. He's building a meat wagon. He's always got the Fiend back here. He just is so well prepared for them that he's not phased. He's not surprised when he sees the tanks. Tanks are kind of trickling in, it seems. Yeah, and I'm sure if they hadn't, Happy would have just town portaled right away. And then he kills the towers at the bottom right, immediately runs to the top left, either to cancel what he knew would have been more towers, or to just creep it. In fact, he gets neither, but hey, still a good play. And Lich can almost get level 5. And now, what do you know? We're at the stage where we haven't taken a ton of economic damage. We've gotten our level 5/5 heroes, pretty much. And we've denied him from having a 3rd base. Our main 3 goals that we mentioned at the start of the episode that we want to have when we get kind of into the close to the late game stage, Happy's checked all those boxes. Now, Hawk has a 1,500 gold bank. Trying to break some upkeep now. Don't know how Happy realizes he should attack right now, but he does. And he's somehow up 10 supply, but Hawk has such a big bank, man. He's got such a big bank. Such a big bank. It's unbelievable. Oh, what do you know? Focusing on the mortar teams. Doesn't get that one. Whoopsies. He did possess one knight, but it got staffed out. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there are obviously some things I don't have all the answers, right? I only have very few answers. And I don't know how Happy knew he was supposed to attack right now. Perhaps there's just literally nothing else to do. That's true. And the cool thing is, if there's literally nothing else to do, what can Hawk do? Well, he can panic based on the fact that he's going to run out of gold and he's going to be behind on hero levels, and then Happy's going to win when they have no gold left. So Hawk's going to feel forced to do something on the map. He's going to feel forced to pressure and to make space for the bottom right and bottom left. But for Happy, if they're both doing nothing, what Happy can do, cast anti-magic shield on both of his heroes, run in and coil Nova some shit. It's called sharking. Very good. He can run in, and he can say, oh, a mortar team's out of position, I'll kill that. Oh, there's a couple of peasants building a shop, I'll kill those. Oh, you know, your paladin's out of position, let me force you to staff that. And all he's investing is just simply mana, which his statues give him. So even if he only gets one mortar team here, one peasant here, it's better than him just sitting in his base, whereas Hawk is the one that needs to not sit in his base. He needs to get here and get another base up. He needs to get here and do damage economically, or else Happy's just going to run away with it. Worth noting, Happy, Acolyte. And not an Acolyte, he's got a ward here. He will probably build another Acolyte. Fiend's still back here. Meatwagon's still ready. Right? When you position aggressively with no need to fight, but you threaten, so you force them to break, etc., but he detects weakness so he could go. Very cool. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, you position aggressively, so that forces them to break upkeep. Right, that's probably a very common tactic in like mirror matchups, I would imagine, as well. Night Elf mirror, like Bear mirror, Undead mirror, where there is stalemates. Very cool. Very cool. And in the case of Happy with these hero levels, he can always find value. He can always find value, because he's almost got level 5, level 5. And even without level 5 Lich, we already established you could one-shot mortar teams for ages now. He can almost one-shot knights if they're out of position. He can always find value. Kitty! Come here! Come here, kitty! Alright. So that's why he's pushing in. At what seems like just a ridiculous timing. And he knows that Hawk has to produce. Where do you have to produce off of? The buildings that produce units. Eventually a unit's going to come out of here. I bet you this mortar team is just dead. Oh. That one is. So now Happy's gotten 3 peasants. He's gotten a mortar team. And he's lost nothing but mana. And it's all gravy. It's all gravy. Yeah, sharking. That's a great way to put it, Hitman. Sharking. Absolutely. 100%. Oh, what do you know? He kills a workshop. That has to be rebuilt. And the only reason why Happy is able to do so much here is because Hawk was greedy. But if Hawk wasn't greedy and had broken, Happy would still do the same thing. He would just get less out of it. Look how sick that is. Look how sick that is. Could my point be even more proven? Could my point be even more proven? He's about to kill the Archmage. He coil Novas past the Archmage to kill a mortar team. And Hawk's like, oh shit, he's about to nuke my Archmage, and TP's out. But Happy just kills both mortar teams. Priorities. Priorities. Kill the mortar teams, they counter the Banshees counter the Knights. Easy. Okay, he finally loses a Banshee. Oh no, he doesn't. Happy's really sick. He doesn't lose it, does he? See, now the fight's starting to get a little risky, but Happy's just gonna back away. He's just gonna run away until Hawk overextends. And he lost 1 Banshee for that. He lost 1 Banshee. Ghoul. As soon as this ward expires, Ghoul. Another reason why that 4th Ghoul is quite nice. Look at the lumber for Hawk, by the way. Kitty! The cat's freaking out. Oh, what do you know? Look at this. Look how sick this is. I gotta slow this down. Look how sick this is. So he just faked a coil. He's trying to bait the staff. Because there's triple staff for Hawk. He tries to bait the staff by faking a coil. He gets 1 orb shot. Getting it close to within the range where just a coil could kill it. Look at this. Another orb shot. Holy Light. Nova, coil. What are you supposed to do, man? What are you supposed to do? Happy is so sick. And if he had staffed that mortar team, Happy would have done the same thing to the priests. That's why I say Happy's the best in the world at this sort of stuff. He's the best in the world at it. Oh, which priest am I going to go for? And note, all of this is just preempting the fight, right? Back to the point. Remember when, as a Night Elf player with Demon Hunter against Undead, you mana burn, staff out, Deado a couple wisps, mana burn, eat a Coil Nova, staff out, rejuve, get ready for the fight. Dryads do a little bit of damage to a ghoul or something in the back, mana burn, staff out. That's what Happy's doing here, just in a different matchup. He's preparing for the fight. If he were to just face roll in to Hawk's expansion right now, he would have lost 5 minutes ago, and that's what many players would do. They wouldn't gain this much value before an actual fight happens. And yes, Happy's doing it perfectly with insanely good micro. But, he's not just attack moving into him. And that's the power of the Banshees as well. See, note when there is no Banshee there, when there is no anti-magic shield. And then once Hawk tries to commit in, Happy just runs away. Just runs away. Okay, okay, you're cool. You're cool. Okay. He does the same stuff for Zork, but he just, instead of more teams, he snipes riders. For sure, for sure. And that's how you have to be when you're playing one base undead, when you're not playing Crypt or anything like that, right? You have to be very, very efficient. That's why undead might be the most difficult race. Because if you get caught out of position and you lose a fight, whoopsies, they have 5k more gold than me. I guess I just lose. Whereas Happy, note, he's lost 2 Banshees and 1 Fiend the entire game. 2 Banshees and 1 Fiend the entire game. The whole game. And 2 Acolytes. The whole game.
Our forces are under attack.
Preempting the fight. Coil Nova on the Paladin. How are you going to heal that bad boy up? You got to staff him. Luckily, he's got priests, but... Divine Shield, Force, 1 HP. That Paladin is dead to the next Coil Nova if he's not staffed out. Okay, now he goes for the Archmage because it was super out of position. Meat wagons come in because there's no chance of tanks any longer. I mean, there would have already been. And he killed the workshops, or he killed at least one of them. Kitty! Kitty! Okay, we'll take a break after this so I can go say hello to my kitty that's freaking out. Okay, Hawk comes in. And like, if Happy was super out of position, let's not forget he's still got the town portal. Loses a 3rd Banshee. Okay, 3 Banshees, 1 Fiend. Oh, Priest. Dead. Happy's never committing in with the whole army, though. He's just waiting for Hawk to be out of position. Waiting for Hawk to get frustrated and to push into a choke point where the mortar teams are not there to deal with the Banshees, and he possesses 4 Knights right away. Why is Hawk at 82? I think Hawk's frustrated at this point. Mortar team, dead. Death Knight, the only thing... Okay, another Banshee fell. It's like Hawk's getting some kills, but like, Happy's constantly... Again, Coil Nova on the Paladin. Next Coil Nova, the Paladin's dead. Okay, Hawk gets over-aggressive. Note the mortar team positioning. The Paladin, half HP, no Divine Shield once it's gone. Staff already used. Now, 1, 2, 3... Okay, 3 possessions. And yes, the mortar teams might get a couple of kills. But this is, like, he finally forced him. This whole thing, the last 4 minutes, he finally did what he came to do. He annoyed Hawk enough that Hawk over-aggressed into this choke point. Now, would Infi have done this? Probably not. But Hawk was... I mean, he lost a lot to just these two heroes, right? And now Happy will clean it up. Paladin probably dead. 3, 2, 1. Oh, he doesn't have a coil, actually. What would Infi have done? Probably played a lot more patiently. And taken a much better fight. GG again. So very, very similar to last game, wasn't it? Only the way that Happy closed it out was differently. Because Hawk gave him more opportunity to get smaller bits of efficiency without those Coil Novas. But very, very sick game from Happy. Very sick game from Happy. Again, 2 Peasant Harass. Hawk start this game, you win. Yeah, I think a lot of humans could definitely close this out. Not against Happy, but I think evenly skilled. Undead music's freaking me out, dude. It's not October anymore. I think in an equally skilled game, Undead against Human wins like the majority of the time there. But not a lot of Undeads play it like Happy, obviously. Undeads make huge fundamental mistakes that Happy is not making to get to this point. That Happiest? I didn't say Infi. I read Infi in the chat, and I might have said Infi. That Happy's not making. But yeah, with that opener, with only 2 peasants lost, with forcing the TP, killing 2 acolytes, delaying the tier 3, it's an excellent start for Hawk. But obviously, Happy's a better player, so he manages to close it out. But what's important is how he gets to the point where he can close it out. Okay, we'll take a short break, and we'll watch the last replay, which is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go say hello to my kitty. We'll be back. We'll be back. Stick around. We are back. We watched 2 replays. We got 1 left. My cat has now joined me. We're all good. Okay. Thank you to Bond King for the 15 months. All right. This final replay. Oh, Burrush. Thanks for gifting us up to a Pink Glitter Bug. What's up, Pink Glitter? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This last replay is different. So the first 2 replays are really what this episode is about, but, you know, we are only talking about games where Happy doesn't do a lot of damage, really only kills 2 peasants. The human has a very good early game, and then how Happy transitions out of that, because I feel like that's a common situation for many undeads to get themselves into, and I think it's important to practice things if you're going to play Ted Fiends, other than just blindly all-inning every game. Of course, trying to get into the late game, trying to understand how to play around the Banshees and play around playing the map control game as opposed to just, well, all I can do is all in, I guess. That is what I think is important to try to improve at. Maybe you won't win a lot of games if you do less all-in play as an undead player, but you'll definitely improve trying to play the late games like this. At least trying to learn how to do that a bit better. And it looked kind of fun, did it not? Looks, when you get those 5/5 heroes at the end, looks kind of fun, right? Looks kind of fun. With that being said, though, that was what the first 2 replays were. This third replay is going to be if we do a decent amount of damage, if Happy specifically does a decent amount of damage, what does he do? What's the second sign to this 2-way street that he goes down if the expansion's not as clean? Now, it's still going to be pretty clean. It's not as though Happy's going to kill 14 peasants here, because in that case, Hawk would GG and he would leave the game. And there is a lot of replays like that. No doubt. There's a lot of replays like that. But this is going to be just a medium amount of damage in how he follows it up. Doing all in right away, yeah. Oh, man, I've been talking a lot today. I've said a lot of words today already, and it's only 4 p.m. Okay, let's go. Last replay, this one's also on Tidehunters. This is a kind of an older replay as well, so there might be some differences in Happy's play. I did find the most recent game where Happy did this style, but it wasn't too instructive because of what the human did. What Hawk is doing here, in fact, that was a Johnny Cage replay. Johnny Cage did some weird stuff, but what Hawk does here is more in the standard vein of things. So this is a little bit of an older replay, but still, this is probably how we would still react to doing damage. Here we go, Tidehunters replay number 3. Last replay of the day. Last replay of the day. And then I gotta get out of here. And I gotta go play a gig. Oh joy. Don't worry, I'll be done. I'll be done today in about 7 hours. It's alright. 7 more hours, guys, and we'll be done. Alright, Ted Fiends again. All is standard in the world. Base build, a little bit different, isn't it? A little bit different from the first replay today. Not much else is going to change, though. The ziggurat is just, it was here before, was it not?
Summoning is complete.
It was. And I'm looking for the critter.
Summoning is complete.
Finds the crab. And graveyard will come up very, very soon. What instrument do I play? I play the guitar. Graveyard. Slightly different location, right? It was here last game. Was it in the last Tidehunters replay? Nevertheless, like I said, it's a little bit of an older replay, this one, compared to the one we watched. The first game, which was more recent. Acolyte will do the scouting thing, worth remembering. There's 2 options for expansions on Tidehunters, which makes it quite unique. Is it the only map that's a thing on? Old Terranistan, that used to be common. There's no real map where there's 2 expansion options, right? Am I taking crazy juice?
Summoning is complete.
I might be. I don't think I am. Oh, Autumn Leaves, of course. Autumn Leaves. Yes. So there's 2 maps with 2 options. Night comes out.
Our forces are
And
under attack.
couple of differences already. This is something that Happy doesn't do too often anymore, but these things do help Happy to get more damage done. So Happy is more focused in this game on doing damage to the expansion than he otherwise is in more recent times. So Backpack, why do you get Backpack? So that after you tech and after your first Fiend comes out, your first Fiend can buy your second Rod of Necromancy and bring it over to the harassment of the expansion, so you can actually do more damage. The Ghoul not being pulled, I think Happy just hadn't started doing that yet here. But, so the Backpack is the main difference, I would say. But still, nothing else will change. We'll see if he creeps level 2. Still, remember, what we're talking about with this replay is not necessarily what Happy's doing right away, but how he reacts to doing a lot of damage when he does get to the expansion. Because regardless of using 1 or 2 rods of necromancy, damage is damage, right? Damage is damage.
Summoning is complete.
Tech. Fiend will come out after. Acolyte. Scouted this. Don't know where it died, but it did die. And Happy again. We'll go for this. Get the item. Probably stop the marketplace as well, right? Or will he, though? Because he does have to invest, let's remember, a little bit extra gold in both the backpack and the extra 150 gold in the Rod of Necromancies. That's 175 gold that Happy invests into this extra rod to do more damage that he can't put into items, potentially, but still Happy will want to get the items because he's happy. He likes his items. But worth noting, you can't get as many. Same timing as before, but this time Happy goes straight for the peasants. Hawk also has a worse defense here. Last time, remember, he had the footman here and the tower here. This time, Hawk, a little worse. Maybe didn't entirely know how to build the expansion yet at this time, which is going to allow Happy to do more damage. Note, second rod, backpacked, over.
Summoning
Second
is
Fiend will be built
complete.
as soon as that ziggurat's done. And all this aggression is justified through the fact that these peasants could all be killed, but also through we're buying time for our Lich to be out. Been through all this. So far, what is that? Is this peasant number 3? Sorry, I didn't keep count. I believe this is peasant number 3 he's going to kill. Maybe peasant number 4. It's definitely more. Definitely more. What do these peasant kills do? Well, it means your tech is later because you have to build more peasants that would otherwise be on lumber. Also just means you have less gold. Also means the Death Knight has a bit more experience. Also means your tower's a little bit later. So I believe Happy got 5 peasants there, as opposed to 2.
Our forces are under attack. Complete.
Skeleton continues to see the footman, so we don't have to be too afraid. Lich on the way. 50 seconds before the footman Archmage pressure is no longer a threat. But we still have to be a little bit afraid right now. 45 seconds. 40 seconds. It's all a timer here. Once this Lich is out, we're no longer afraid. Luckily, there's no footman here, though. Because we were so aggressive, the footman stayed behind, just to make sure. And the Lich will be out very, very soon. More skeletons going towards the expansion. No Arcane Tower up yet. And Happy knows there's no Arcane Tower up yet. Even gets a coil last hit there. So this is all lining up for some sweet, sweet pressure. Oh, what do you know? A 6th peasant goes down. And this tower is very late because there's so many peasants were killed. Incredible. So how does Happy react to doing this damage? Whereas before, yes, on Northern Isles he did reaggress with the Lich. But he's quite low on health, quite low on mana. What does he do? What does he do? Knowing the tower's delayed, knowing he's killed a bunch of peasants, knowing that he can maybe follow this up with even more aggression. Look what he does. Boom. Mana pot, health pot. Mana pot and health pot, of course, 2 things that he's missing to be able to be more aggressive. He's almost level 3. In fact, he'll get it off this. And he knows there's no tower up. So he buys double potion, delaying his tier 3 tech. And he's just going to go across the map again. Knowing he can get more value here. Then behind this, macro, all the same. Nothing different, right? One main thing that will be different is we probably won't see a 4th ghoul here. We'll have to keep an eye if we do, though. Would he be able to do this without Death Knight level 3? Probably not. He could almost kill the Archmage, but has to use a coil defensively. But still, killing the footman is really good. Why is killing the footman good? It doesn't allow Hawk to be aggressive if he wants to, because he has no footman. It also doesn't allow Hawk to creep. And now Happy's going to get this Arcane Tower canceled. This is all sick, 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 sick. So this is an example of Happy's aggression really paying off this game, whereas the last 2 games, it didn't at all, did it? Fiends, statues coming out, tier 3 tech, macros, all the same, remember.
Our forces are under attack.
And even more peasants are going to fall. Even less lumber for Hawk. This surround, not going to do anything. Statues now here. A lot of peasants falling. Does he go for the 4th ghoul? We don't know yet. 39 supply, doesn't have a 4th ziggurat yet. We'll see. We'll see if he does. More and more and more value. Mountain King might be out soon. Mountain King probably started by now. Yeah, little bit on his way. Happy probably aware of that because I was aware of that. Right? Happy certainly is.
Our forces are under attack.
Oh, he's attacking his own fiend. Okay, okay, Happy. And again, canceling towers. All he's doing by canceling these towers is preparing himself for later when he finally pushes with a strong timing. And more footmen going down. More footmen means less creeping, means less potential for Hawk to re-aggress after defending the pressure. Coil Nova, forces a potion. All is good in the hood. Ziggurat, we'll keep an eye on if he does build the 4th ghoul. Although I don't see a reason really for him to need to build the 4th ghoul this game. Because he's not going Banshees. Oh no, sir. Whereas on Northern Isles, he was already building a temple, already power creeping. And the double statue as well. So you can get a nice consumable. Oh, loses a fiend. Oh, no he doesn't. He's happy. Okay. He's eventually going to lose his fiend. There's no more coil, so. So he's going to lose that fiend. Doesn't get the 4th ghoul. Instead, what does he get? Earlier 5th fiend. Earlier 5th fiend. No need for the 4th ghoul, because what are we going to do? We're going to all in this expansion. Our favorite thing to do, undead players. Almost denies the fiend. In fact, I think he did. Statue block. No cheese from the bread. He did get the cheese from the bread of the marketplace.
Upgrade complete.
Okay, tier 3 done. Destroyer form, just like before. All the same. All the same. This is actually the 5th fiend. This is the 6th fiend that Happy's now building. So 6 fiends in total. Destroyer form, still 2 statues. Now what does Happy do now that he's tier 3?
Research complete.
Does he get a temple? Does he get a 4th ghoul? Does he prepare the fiend at the back of the gold mine for the potential Zeppelin drops? Don't think so. Sells the ring, grabs orb. Destro form on the way, repairs the statue. There's the 5th fiend, or the 6th in total. Old replay? Yes, this is a relatively old replay. Yes. The first 2 were not, though. Saves the Lich because he's happy, but can only do so for so long. That's a nice play from Hawk. If he hadn't done that, Happy would have just gone all the way forward. But he's got to go back home. And gets a mana pot now, because he's out of mana again and wants to continue being aggressive. Does he start creeping here? No, he's going to run across the map again.
Research complete.
Destro form done. 7th fiend on the way. 45 supply. And he'll probably very soon get his 60 supply Ziggurat. What do you think he's getting here? Of course he's getting a Pit Lord for Rain of Fire to continue the pressure. Now, if this fails, look at the hero levels. Okay, almost level 4, sure. But 3, 2, 1. And what is Hawk? 3, almost 2, and he's going to be 1 on the Paladin soon. So the hero levels are almost going to be equal if this push fails. If this push fails. And of course, if the hero levels are equal, Hawk's in a fantastic position because he's on 2 bases. What advantage does Happy have if not the hero level advantage? Right now, what he has is the tech advantage. He has Orb, Tri-Hero, and Destro form, and Hawk's tier 3 is just finished. So Happy's trying to do something with the tech advantage he has, not with the hero level advantage, which is what he was pressing the last 2 games. And here comes the Cowboy. Now, the main base is undertowered, but the expansion is also undertowered. Something crestfallen, anything? Scroll the Beast, there's still a mana pot. Destroyers aren't even needed. That's the 6th fiend, but 7 in total. And that's 50 supply. 2 statues, 6 fiends, 3 heroes with an orb. Destroyer form is here if he needs it. He's probably getting another Ziggurat at home. No, he's even not getting another Ziggurat. Got web, just in case. And Hawk is actually going to hold on here because he's really good. But most players in this position, I mean, undeads, you're going to close this out in this position. You're going to close this out. Two knights come out. It's actually a miracle that Hawk doesn't just lose right here. But he doesn't. Okay, there's the 60 supply Ziggurat. Maybe could have been produced early, but Happy's microing, getting +2 for the Fiends, just like in the first game. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing crazy. Rain of Fire again.
Summon is complete.
go. And the longer Hawk waits, the further ahead Happy gets, because it's one base, and Happy's getting experience off these peasants and killing tech buildings that Hawk crucially needs. And this push has succeeded because look at the hero levels. But again, Hawk is really good. But Happy at this point, worth noting, because he's got his extra Ziggurat, he's building an Abomination, which is much different. But say he wasn't building this, he could just morph Double Destroyer. And there's probably not a lot of flying machines, but Happy doesn't know for sure that there's not 8 or 10 flying machines. Even if there were 8 or 10 flying machines, though, plenty of fiends to web them. So he could, at any stage right now, morph Double Destroyer and destroy these knights. Destroy them with destroyers. But he doesn't. But he could. But maybe it's more important to keep the sustain of the statues here. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Happy knows. I don't. But not a Banshee in sight. To steal a knight. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. Happy wants a mana bomb. Still, like, miraculous from Hawk, right? He's doing a great job considering. He's doing a great job. But he is taking some losses still. And let's not forget how crippled the economy was. Hawk has barely any gold, and he's below the supply of Happy currently. And the lumber will soon be an issue as well. So did that push succeed? Yes, it did. Now might be a decent time to go into Banshees, but maybe Happy is just thinking, I'm going to end this fool. But if this push doesn't succeed, then you go into Banshees and you try to play the difficult late game with underleveled heroes. That's a possibility. But it would be much trickier to win in the late game than it was previously for Happy, in this case, if he doesn't win here. Because look at how many creeps there are left on the map. Hawk is going to have no problem creeping up his heroes, most likely. Because Happy's got no mana, he's got to back away. But the push continues to succeed. And now 10 supply advantage. Oh, what do you know? 14 supply advantage. And this is what every undead player hopes their games end like. This is what they want. Not their DK to be surrounded, but this is what they want. They want to just push, get their pit lord, keep pushing, kill a lot of peasants, and just over time of not having to creep, not having to do much other than just run into your opponent to be able to win through pure micro. And often it can work. But the problem becomes when it does not work. In this case it will work. Perhaps Dondo. Definitely could be true. He could, I mean, I'm sure Happy would have still won the game if this push hadn't have killed Hawk. But the fact that there's no Banshees in sight at all means that, like, say this push not only fails, but Hawk gets a few extra unit kills and isn't down 14 supply, soon to be 11, then Happy's not even in a position to control the map any further because he's got no Banshees, and Hawk actually has just a stronger army without Banshees. Like, these knights, like 3 knights here against this many fiends, absolutely terrible. The issue becomes destroyers can just be morphed at any stage. That's the issue for Hawk. But if you're just talking about knights versus fiends, I don't think Happy could necessarily completely control the map. But maybe he could. Hard to know because it doesn't happen in this game. We're seeing the strength that Hawk has. And then Happy's like, okay, I'm done with this. I don't think you have flying machines. If you do, I still have 3 fiends at least. And Pitlord always guarantees the longer this push goes on, the better it will be for Happy, because Hawk can never really mine. And the Destros call the bluff that is no flying machines. And he doesn't even have flat cannons, because the golden lumber was so low for so long. And this is gonna be GG. It's gonna be GG. Surprise. And Hawk is really holding on, but not gonna happen. He's trying to consolidate. He really is. Getting his heroes back. The main is dead. And I think even I would win this game at this stage. Maybe not. Maybe I could lose this game. I could probably find a way. And they came from behind, everybody. Paladin dead. And these heroes are ridiculous because of how many peasants, how many flying machines, how many knights, how many heroes Happy is killed, and there's GG. That's our final replay from the day. So that replay wasn't, obviously, as I said, it's an older replay. That kind of play from Happy runs contrary to the whole point of the episode. In fact, it's the other side of what this episode is about. But I just wanted to show, it's not as though you have to do what Happy did in the first two replays. If you do a lot of damage, by all means, follow it up like that. By all means, all in, be very aggressive, get the Pit Lord, get the extra Fiends, morph the Destros, get the Abomination, play like that, skip the 4th Ghoul, continuously pressure, cancel the Arcane, kill more peasants, go back more than 2 or 3 times. Just keep going. By all means, if you do the damage early. But if you do not, there is other options. All right. Are there any questions before we finish up for the day? Are there any questions? Oh my God. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh. You're good? It's good. Oh, yeah. So, as I said, this will probably be the last episode on a Thursday. We'll probably switch it to Mondays, most likely. There'll most likely be no episode next week, but the week after, we'll probably start on Mondays. Yeah, so there'll be probably no episode on the 22nd, but maybe on the 29th will be the next episode. So we'll get 4 episodes this month, which will be Night Elf Day. We might talk about Night Elfmere again. No, we probably won't, actually. But we already did 2 episodes on Elfmere, so that means I can't do the Moon Foggy series. Maybe I will, though, still. Maybe I will still. Yeah, exactly. That honks, that's exactly why. It's when ESL Cup's gone, then we'll switch to Mondays. If not, maybe we'll do a different day. So that'll be that. All right. I've been talking for 7 hours straight. I'm going to go drink some more water, have a shower, and go play some music. Shout out to the sponsor of the stream, CORSAIR. You can use the coupon code BACK2WARCRAFT for 10% off at checkout. You can get there via the !CORSAIR link in the chat. They have headset, they have keyboards, mouse pads, cameras, lights, stream decks, everything in the whole wide world. So check out CORSAIR. They're the sponsor of the stream till the end of the year. Very pog champers. And also shout out to our patrons. Patreon.com/back2warcraft is a cool way to support us if you're already a sub or something and you want to give a little extra. You can get replay review by me. So pretty much what I did on today's episode with Happy, I can do for you, and then give you pointers where I can and try to help you out. So that's something you can unlock on the Patreon. You can also do private one-on-one coaching with me and Remo Demo. Same with the replay review. Plenty of other stuff. Back to Warcraft podcast a week early. Tons of cool stuff. You get a shout out at the end of the stream as well. And so here's your shout out: the 500 Euro Golden Goat tier patron. Knubby Quicks, the 50-euro Midas tier patrons, Toxie, Dondelare, Grinchy, J-Gats, Scription, Circado, and Teggy, and the 25-euro profit tier patrons, Armin VB, Burning Blades, and KMS 3D, Pog Champ. Appreciate you guys. Ended up being a 3-hour episode, so I'm gonna get these uploaded and then go. And I appreciate you guys watching, not just this stream, but the stream before. And Neil will be back tomorrow for 4 players gold. We swapped our cast. So I did silver today. He's going to do gold tomorrow. So that's it for me for the weekend. You guys have yourselves a lovely weekend. And I'll see you very, very soon for another cast. All right. Bye-bye.